In a world divided by magic and fear, there was a boy who didn't know he was famous, a boy with a lightning scar. And when he turned 11, he got a letter that changed everything. He was just a baby when darkness tried to claim him, but the curse meant to kill him became the reason he lived. Orphaned, hidden, forgotten, until one day a letter arrived that changed everything. Hogwarts, a place of magic, mystery, and danger. There he found not just spells and creatures, but friendship, courage, and the truth about who he really was. With Hermione and Ron by his side, he faced trials most would flee from: a deadly game of chess, a serpent in the walls, time turned backward, and betrayal from those closest to him. He discovered love and loss, happiness and despair, all before his 17th birthday. But through it all, there was one constant: the dark wizard who had taken everything from him, his parents, his childhood, his peace. But it was also that dark wizard who inadvertently gave Harry more the friends who became family, the courage to keep going, and the reason why the world still had a chance at being free of the shadows that threatened to consume it. This is his story, The Boy Who Lived. There are some stories so big they have to be told in parts. And this is the first part of Harry Potter, The Boy Who Lived. He was born on July 30, first to James and Lily Potter, two wizards who were deeply in love and fiercely protective of their son. But even the strongest love can't conquer all. And when Voldemort came for Harry as just a baby, James and Lily lost their lives trying to protect him. But it didn't work. They both died, leaving little Harry an orphan, destined for a life of misery. Voldemort thought he'd won, but he didn't realize the curse that killed the Potters didn't kill Harry. It made him famous, giving him lightning bolt scar and making him the boy who lived. Now everyone knew his name, but no one knew where he was. And that's how it stayed for 10 years until one day when Harry was 11. A half-giant named Hagrid showed up on his doorstep to tell him the truth. He was a wizard, and he had been accepted into Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Over the next few days, Hagrid took Harry shopping in London, introducing him to the magical world and its wonders. First, he bought Harry his first wand, a powerful one made of Hollywood with a core of phoenix feather. Then they went to Diagon Alley, where he bought all his school books and supplies. Finally, they went to Honeydukes, and that's where Harry got his first taste of freedom, tons of chocolate and sweets. When the time came, Hagrid led Harry onto the Hogwarts Express, a train that ran on magic, taking students to their new homes. And then it happened. For the first time, Harry saw other kids his age, kids who could do magic. And it was intimidating, nerve-wracking, exciting, everything a kid could feel on their first day of school. As they approached Hogwarts, they saw it majestic and grand. It looked like a castle straight out of a fairy tale, only bigger and better. As they entered the Great Hall, Harry felt a mix of emotions, excitement, nervousness, wonder. He was starting a new chapter in his life, and he didn't know what to expect. He soon learned that Hogwarts wasn't just a school, it was a whole different world. It was a place where he could learn about his parents, the ones who died trying to protect him. And as the sorting hat ceremony began, he watched as other students were sorted into their houses, each with their own unique traits and values. And then it was his turn. As he stepped forward, the hat was placed on his head, and he heard the legendary words, difficult, very difficult. Plenty of courage, I see. Yes, and a thirst for adventure. Not a bad mind either. There's a lot of good in you, a lot of bad. You faced quite a bit of suffering, haven't you? But I see a strong heart in you, a noble heart. You're a Gryffindor, I'm sure of it. With that, he was sorted into the House of Bravery, where he met his first true friends, Ron and Hermione. Together they faced trolls, rescued a troll, outsmarted a devil's snare, and discovered the secrets of the Sorcerer's Stone, an artifact of immense power that many sought to possess. Harry learned about loyalty, friendship, and the importance of standing up for what's right. even if it means facing your fears. And he did just that when he confronted Professor Quirrell, who was trying to steal the stone. A few years passed and Harry grew. He learned new spells, faced new challenges, and made new memories. He played a crucial role in saving the school from danger once again, defeating a troll, rescuing a friend, and proving that bravery isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. He and his friends also faced a three-headed dog, discovered a secret passageway, and outsmarted a mischievous poltergeist. Each challenge bringing them closer together as a team. They delved deeper into the mysteries of Hogwarts, uncovering secrets and legends while facing dangerous creatures such as a giant spider. Along the way, they formed alliances with other students and forged bonds that would last a lifetime. They encountered a wide range of characters, some helpful, others not so much, and learned valuable lessons about trust, loyalty, and the power of friendship. They also faced their fears head-on, whether it was a deadly game of chess or a confrontation with a soul-eating demon. And through it all, their courage and determination never wavered. Year after year, Harry faced greater challenges, becoming a leader not just for himself, but for those around him. He confronted dark creatures, fought against injustice, and stood up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. But it wasn't always easy. He faced prejudice, discrimination, and the constant threat of danger, yet he never gave up. As the story unfolds, we witness Harry's growth from a young, somewhat awkward boy into a brave, determined young man. We see him confront not just external enemies, but internal demons as well. He grapples with questions about identity, belonging, and the nature of good and evil. Along the way, he learns that love is the most powerful magic of all, and that the fight for justice is worth having faith in. We watch as he faces his greatest fears, confronts his destiny, and makes the ultimate sacrifice, reminding us that sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones who seem most ordinary. Through it all, Harry remains steadfast in his beliefs, refusing to let fear or hate define him. He chooses love, compassion, and understanding, demonstrating the transformative power of these values. In the end, we are left with a sense of hope and inspiration, knowing that even in the darkest of times, the light of love and courage can prevail. Harry shows us that even in the darkest of times, the smallest glimmer of hope is enough to keep us going. So as we reflect on his journey, let us remember to embrace love, value friendship, and never ever give up. So are you ready to continue the adventure? Because we've only just begun to tell the story of Harry Potter, the boy who lived. Stay tuned for more updates because we've got 7 more adventures to go.
In the heart of a serene village nestled between emerald green hills and sprawling rice fields lay a modest yet charming house. It was here that an aging father, his face etched with the wisdom of years lived well, prepared to pass on his legacy to his only son. The young man had found love with a girl from a neighboring village, and the time had come to arrange their marriage. However, the father, far from being eager to welcome a new member into his family, surprised his son with an unexpected twist. He decided that he would choose a daughter-in-law for him, not based on her beauty or status or wealth, but solely on the virtue of her heart. Confused and slightly hurt by his father's words, the young man could only agree, wondering how his father would find a suitable match for him based on such a nebulous virtue. On the day of the arranged meeting, 3 young women arrived at the house, each more graceful and charming than the last. The first, tall and statuesque, carried herself with an air of quiet confidence. Her eyes, pools of warmth and intelligence, seemed to hold a universe of kindness. The second, petite and delicate, moved with a gentle grace that was both endearing and elegant. Her smile was like the soft blush on a winter's dawn, promising the warmth of a 1,000 sons. The third, though, was unlike the other two. She was fiery and full of spirit, her laughter echoing with joy. Yet beneath her vivacious exterior lay a depth of sincerity that was disarming. After welcoming them into his home and observing them for a while, the old man called the first woman into his private chambers. "My dear," he began, his voice raspy yet kind, "you seem like a good, intelligent, and capable girl. However, I haven't seen anything that sets you apart, anything that truly speaks to the virtue of your heart." The woman, taken aback by the old man's blunt honesty, tried to hide her disappointment. She had come with high hopes, believing her beauty and status would win him over, but she couldn't deny his words held truth. With a slight nod of her head, she accepted his decision and gracefully exited the house. The second woman entered the room with a demure smile. The old man, as before, wasted no time in his assessment. "You are a sweet girl," he said, "and I can see you have a good heart. But I need someone who can not only endure hardship, but also thrive in it. Someone whose spirit is as resilient as a bamboo." Again, the woman was taken aback. She had thought her gentle nature and warm smile would be enough, but she understood the need for more. Accepting the old man's assessment with a graceful bow, she too left the house, and so only the third woman remained. As she entered the room, her vibrant energy seemed to fill the space. The old man, his eyes twinkling with amusement, broke into a warm smile. "You," he said, "are the kind of girl who doesn't need me to tell you what to do, yet always manages to do what needs to be done." He continued, "Your laughter echoes with life itself, and your eyes hold the kindness that warms my old heart." Overwhelmed by his words, the woman, who had been so confident earlier, suddenly felt a vulnerability she had never known. She had never sought to be anyone's choice, and the idea that this gruff old man saw something special in her was both humbling and exhilarating. As days turned into weeks, the old man kept a close eye on the remaining woman. He watched how she interacted with the villagers, how she helped his son with chores around the house, and how she patiently listened to his stories of the past. One day, however, an unexpected trial came upon the village. A sudden illness swept through, taking many to their beds, including the old man. When the village healer was asked for help, he sadly shook his head. "There is nothing I can do," he said. "This illness is one of balance, and only the mountain herbs can cure it." But these herbs were known to be guarded fiercely by mythical beasts. It was a near impossible task. Without a moment's hesitation, the woman he had chosen took it upon herself to go for the herbs. The old man, watching her leave, knew this was her greatest test. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the village, the old man found himself growing weaker. Just when all hope seemed lost, the woman returned. In her hands were not just the mythical herbs, but also a strange concoction of local remedies. "I may not have been able to get the mountain herb right away," she explained, "but we can still help our people." Using the knowledge passed down from her grandmother, she had made a poultice that brought relief to the sick. While it wasn't a cure, it was the best they could do until the mountain herb took effect. Days passed, filled with the aroma of healing herbs and the murmur of recovery. Slowly but surely, the villagers got back on their feet. The old man, his strength returning, looked at the woman with newfound respect. He had seen not just her spirit, but also her compassion and quick thinking. She had faced danger without flinching, used her knowledge to help others, and never once complained. One evening, after the last of the villagers had recovered, the old man called the young women into his house. Today, he announced, "I want to introduce you all to my future daughter-in-law." The first two women, though surprised, bowed their heads in acceptance. The old man then turned to the last woman. "You have shown not just kindness and bravery, but a deep understanding of our people's needs," he said. "You are not just my daughter-in-law. You are now part of our family." Overjoyed, the remaining woman could only nod, tears of happiness streaming down her face. The old man then turned to his son, who had been silent throughout. His eyes filled with surprise and admiration for the woman his father had chosen. The wedding was a joyous affair, celebrated with a merriment of drums, the lilting melodies of stringed instruments, and the contagious laughter of villagers. The old man, watching his son and the woman he chose embrace each other, felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had not just found a suitable daughter-in-law for his son, he had found a partner for life. Someone who would stand by his side through the joys and hardships of life. Someone whose heart was as big as the sky. In the years that followed, the old man's choice was proven right. The woman, now his daughter, proved to be not just a loving and supportive wife, but also a pillar of strength for her husband and a kind, generous member of their community. Theirs became a love story whispered around village hearths, a testament to the power of a kind heart and a wise father's choice. As for the other two women, they too found their own paths to happiness, each becoming a respected member of their community, each successful in her chosen field. They often visited the old man, sharing stories and laughter, their bond of sisterhood unbroken. Looking back, the old man smiled. He had not just chosen a daughter-in-law that day, he had chosen love, happiness, and unity. The story goes that whenever the wind rustled through the rice fields or the hills echoed with the laughter of children, it was a reminder of the old man's wisdom, a celebration of his choice, and a tribute to the enduring power of the human spirit. The story has been passed down through generations, serving as a guiding light for many young hearts seeking to navigate the complexities of love and relationships. Perhaps it is a tale that reminds us to look beyond physical attributes or societal standing when searching for a life partner, to instead focus on the qualities of the heart, the strengths of character, and the depths of kindness. Or maybe it is a story that teaches us about the profound impact a father's love and wisdom can have on the lives of those around him, shaping not just the future of his son, but the very fabric of their community. Whatever the interpretation, the story of the old man's choice continues to resonate, weaving its timeless message into the tapestry of our lives.
Once upon a time in a lush and vibrant forest, there lived a wise, calm and elderly turtle. He was known throughout the forest for his deep knowledge, his infinite patience, and his peaceful nature. All the animals respected and loved him. They would often come to him for advice when they had problems or concerns. One day, the forest animals were filled with fear and anxiety. A terrible disaster was coming. It could be a great storm, a ruthless hunter, or even a mysterious illness that was spreading through the forest. The animals didn't know what to do. They were scared and desperate for help. So they all went to see the wise old turtle, hoping that he could help them and guide them through this difficult time. They sat down round him, each animal sharing their fears and concerns. The turtle listened patiently, his wise eyes twinkling with understanding. Finally, when everyone had spoken, the turtle began to speak. His voice was calm and deep, like the rustling of leaves in the wind. "My friends," he said, "I understand your fears. We are all mortal, and we must face the uncertainty of life with courage. However, I must tell you that I am also afraid." The animals were shocked. The wisest and most peaceful creature they knew was afraid too. How could this be possible? They looked at the turtle, trying to understand how he could be so calm and wise, yet still be afraid. The turtle continued, "My fear is not of the storm, or the hunter, or any other external danger. My fear is of something much more internal and personal. I am afraid of breaking your trust. I am afraid of losing my honor, and I am afraid of not keeping my word." The animals were confused. What did the turtle mean? Why was he afraid of breaking their trust? The turtle said, "When you seek my advice, you do so because you believe in my wisdom and experience. If I were to give you advice that is not right, or if I were to break my word, it would be a great dishonor to myself and to our friendship. I am afraid that I might not be able to help you, and that I might fail you." The animals thought about what the turtle had said. They had never thought of their wise old friend as being afraid of anything, and now he was telling them that his greatest fear was not of the dangers that threatened them all, but of failing them. Slowly, the animals began to understand. The wise old turtle was not perfect. He was just like them, afraid and uncertain of the future. But despite his fear, he was still trying his best to help them. One of the monkeys spoke up, "But wise turtle, how can we know if you are truly afraid, or if you are just testing us?" The turtle smiled gently. "That is a very good question, little monkey. But I am not afraid of your questions or doubts. I welcome them, for it is through our doubts that we grow and learn, and it is through our questions that we find the answers we seek." The animals looked at each other, realizing that the wise old turtle was right. They needed to face their fears and doubts head-on, just as he was doing. The turtle continued, "You see, my friends, fear is a part of life. We cannot avoid it or deny it, but we can choose how we respond to it. We can choose to face our fear with honesty and courage, or we can choose to ignore it and let it consume us." The animals thought about what the turtle had said. They realized that they had been ignoring their fear instead of facing it. They had been running away from it, hoping that it would go away. But the turtle was right. Their fear was still there, and it was only getting worse. The turtle said, "Do not misunderstand me, my friends. I am not saying that it is easy to face our fears. It is often difficult and painful. But it is also in our moments of greatest fear and uncertainty that we have the opportunity to grow and become stronger." The animals nodded, understanding that the turtle was right. They had been given a choice, and the choice was theirs to make. They could continue to be afraid and let their fear control them, or they could face their fear and grow from it. The turtle said, "Do not let your fear define you. Do not let it control you or determine your actions. Instead, let it motivate you to become the best version of yourself." The animals were inspired by the turtle's words. They realized that they had been wrong in assuming that the wisest and most peaceful creature in the forest was not afraid. In fact, he was afraid, just like them, but he had chosen to face his fear and use it to make him stronger. The turtle said, "Remember, my friends, that fear is a universal experience. No one is immune to it, but it is up to us to decide how we will respond to it. Will we allow our fear to consume us, or will we use it to make us stronger?" The animals thought about the turtle's words. They realized that they had been wrong in thinking that fear was a sign of weakness. In fact, it was a sign of courage and strength. The turtle said, "My friends, I may be old and slow, but I have learned many lessons in my long life. One of the most important lessons I have learned is that the greatest strength comes from our ability to face our fear. When we are able to look our fear in the face and keep moving forward, that is when we become truly strong." The animals looked at the turtle in awe. They realized that he was right. Strength did not come from avoiding fear, but from facing it. The turtle said, "I know that you are all brave and courageous, and I have no doubt that you will face whatever challenges come your way with honor and dignity. Remember, my friends, that I am here for you always. If you ever need my help or advice, do not hesitate to ask. I may be old and slow, but I have seen a lot in my lifetime, and I am always happy to share my wisdom with those who seek it." The animals thanked the wise old turtle for his guidance and support. They knew that he was right and that they could count on him no matter what. They left his home feeling inspired and ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And so the legend of the wise old turtle, who was afraid of everything and nothing, continued to be told throughout the forest. It was a reminder to all who heard it that wisdom and peace did not come from a lack of fear, but from the courage to face our fears and the strength to overcome them. For the animals of the forest, the wise old turtle became a symbol of hope and resilience in the face of adversity. His story gave them the strength to face their own fears and to never give up in the face of challenges. As the years passed, the wise old turtle continued to live in his peaceful home, content in the knowledge that he had helped others to find their own inner strength. He knew that his greatest legacy was not his age or his wisdom, but the courage he had inspired in others to face their fears and to strive for peace and understanding. And so the tale of the wise, calm and elderly turtle who was afraid of everything and nothing reminds us that wisdom is not the absence of fear, but the ability to face fear with honesty and courage. True strength does not come from avoiding our fears, but from facing them and learning from them, and that the greatest gift we can give others is the gift of hope and resilience. If you liked the story, please don't forget to leave a comment. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Once upon a time, in a distant land, a baby elephant was chained to a stake. He tugged, but he was too small, too weak. He tugged again and again, but he was too small, too weak. Days became months. Months became years. The elephant grew tall, strong, powerful. Yet he never tried to break free again. Because in his mind, he still believed he couldn't. The chain was gone, but the memory of it remained. One day, danger struck the jungle. The path was blocked. Others panicked. A voice called from the trees. "Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid." Startled, the elephant looked up. An old and wise owl hooted. "It's all right. I know you can do it. Believe in yourself." "Believe in yourself," the monkey screeched, grabbing a vine. "You can move that log. I know you can do it." Encouraged by the wise animals, for the first time, the elephant felt a surge of confidence. He took a deep breath and pushed. Will the elephant be able to push the tree? Will he remember that he's strong? Let's find out. Will the elephant be able to push the tree? Will he remember that he's strong? Let's find out. Do you think the elephant will push the tree? Why or why not? Why or why not? Let us know in the comments below. We'll start with the answers to our questions from last time. Some of you said yes, the elephant will push the tree. You said the elephant has waited his whole life for this moment. He will surely try his best. Other than that, some of you said no, the elephant won't push the tree. You said the elephant is scared and will never try to be strong. Well, both views are right, because both of them are going to happen in this story. So, let's listen to the full story to find out what happens. Okay, now back to the story. You were never weak. You just believed you were, said a gentle voice. Startled, the elephant looked around. There, perched on a nearby branch, sat a majestic lion. You are stronger than you believe, added the tiger. I know you can do it. Just try, encouraged the spotted deer. Don't be scared. I'm with you, roared the friendly rhinoceros. Me too, said a family of wild boars. Let's do it together. Inspired by the kind words of the animals and filled with newfound determination, the elephant decided to push the log. With a mighty heave, he began to push. To his surprise, the earth trembled. The massive log shuddered, inch by inch. The elephant continued to push. His tusks dug into the ground. His tail flapped like a flag in the wind. Beads of sweat rolled down his temples. His muscles strained, but he didn't stop. He remembered the wise animal's words. He knew he was stronger than he believed. After what seemed like an eternity, with one final surge of strength, the elephant pushed the log out of the way. The clearing was clear once more. The animals cheered. The elephant basked in the applause. He realized he wasn't just strong, he was powerful beyond measure. That night, as the jungle celebrated, the elephant stood tall, gazing at the starlit sky. He had faced his fears, challenged his limits, and discovered a strength he never knew he possessed. He understood that true power comes not from physical might, but from the courage to believe in oneself. The memory of the logjam faded into legend, becoming a tale whispered among the stars. The elephant, once bound by chains and doubt, now roamed free, a symbol of resilience and hope in the heart of the jungle. So, friends, we have reached the end of our story today. Did you like this story? If yes, hit the like button and share this video with your loved ones. Also, don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any new stories. Now, let's have a look at the moral of the story. Do you know what the moral of the story is? The moral of the story is sometimes all the strength we need is already inside of us. We just need to believe in ourselves. The elephant was actually strong, but he forgot that he was strong. He thought he was weak and was afraid to try. But when the other animals motivated him, he remembered that he was strong and pushed the log away. So, my dear children, whenever you face problems, remember that you are stronger than you think. You just need to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, and you will succeed. Now, my little friends, it's time to make some magical memories. Can you share your favorite part of the story with us in the comment section below? We can't wait to read your thoughts. Why don't you also tell us about the lesson you learned from this story? Your comments make our day. So don't hold back. Let your creativity run wild in the comments below. And hey, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our enchanting tales. And if you like this video, show us some love by hitting the like button. It means the world to us. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later with another captivating story. Until then, keep exploring, keep dreaming. Once upon a time, in a distant land, there was a young elephant. The young elephant was very naughty. He loved playing with his friends. They would play hide and seek among the tall trees and bushes of their jungle home. But as the young elephant grew older, he started feeling lazy. He didn't feel like playing anymore. He would just sit under the shade of a big tree and watch the other animals playing. He wanted to join them, but he was too lazy. One day, the young elephant saw a group of monkeys swinging from tree to tree. He wanted to play with them, but he was too lazy to climb the tree. He sat down and started crying. Suddenly, an old and wise owl hooted from above. "Why are you sad?" asked the owl. "I want to play with the monkeys," replied the young elephant, "but I'm too lazy to climb the tree." The owl flew down and sat on the elephant's head. "You are lazy because you don't believe in yourself," said the owl. "If you try hard enough, you can do anything." The elephant was sad, but he was determined to prove the owl wrong. He started climbing the tree. At first, he was slow and steady, but soon he started to pick up the pace. He climbed higher and higher until he reached the top of the tree. The monkeys welcomed the elephant, and they all played together until sunset. From that day on, the young elephant was never lazy again. He learned that if he believed in himself, he could do anything. Hey guys, we have reached the end of our story today. What did you like the most about the story? Tell us in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe so that you get notified whenever we upload a new story. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon with another amazing story. Bye-bye.
This episode is dedicated to my friend who requested it and passed away before he could see it. This one's for you. I have a friend who lives in an old house. He never has any problems until 2 a.m. when the pipes start banging and dragging metal moans echo throughout the halls. As they were unpacking, their 3 kids went missing. It was actually a woman who had taken pills and cut her wrists. She was lying in bed staring at us as we came in. I asked her why she did it. I grew up in a small farming community in Canada. One of our neighbors was an older couple who farmed the land that had been in their family for generations. I was brought up in a small market town in England. There were only a handful of cinemas within a 10-mile radius. If they survive a decade living there, they're considered lucky. Now go watch Shadow People Caught on Camera or click this other video instead. If they last longer than 20 years, they win the lottery. Our next story comes from a Reddit user. Growing up, I lived near a highway with a bridge. It was known to be very haunted. At night, cars would slow down and honk repeatedly. Sometimes drivers would even stop and step out of their vehicles to listen. I was curious, so I followed a group of teenagers to the bridge. We stood there for hours and eventually heard a knock on the bridge. We were scared to look, so we ran away. Later, someone's bike was found there. Many years later, I found out that a man had stood on that bridge and watched his girlfriend drown in the river. She begged him to save her, but he just stood there and watched her die. To this day, people believe her ghost is waiting for him on that bridge. And for many years, whenever I dared mention the name of one of them, I'd get a swift smack on the head from my dad. I didn't understand why until I was an adult. I often drove past the cinema on my way to visit my parents, and one day, I stopped to buy a lottery ticket. The shop was tiny with just a couple of locals hanging around. I asked about scratch cards, and the lady behind the counter told me they were you weren't allowed to sell them. I said, "What? Why?" And she replied, "They say it brings bad luck." And just then, one of the men chimed in, "Yeah, remember the Regal Cinema? That's why it burned down." I was confused, so the man continued, "That's where they sold the winning scratch card, and then someone scratched it and won the jackpot. But then the owner of the shop was found dead, and the man who scratched the card was found dead a week later. They reckon it was all down to bad luck. Either it's a coincidence or there really is such thing as bad luck. Their house was always boarded up, except for the times when a new tenant would move in and take over the farm. The son of the family would always tell me stories about the house and how it was unright. One story stuck out the most. He told me about how his sister used to play with the ghost of a little girl. He said the girl would come out of the wall and play with his sister, and then she would walk back into the wall. Then one day the sister disappeared and no one ever saw her again. He also told me that his parents used to fight all the time. Then one night he woke up and heard his parents fighting. He called out for his sister, and she said she was fine. He was worried because she was sleeping with the door open, and he thought maybe she wanted to go to her parents' room to sleep. The next morning, the police came and searched the house. They never found his sister, but they did find her bed. On the other side of the wall was the children's room, and on the other side of that wall was the living room. Right where the wall had caved in was where his parents slept. That night, the wall had caved in to make a doorway. His parents were found dead. One day, while walking home from school, I saw the boards ripped off the windows of the house, and curiosity got the best of me. I snuck onto the property and peered through a window. What I saw inside made me drop to my knees and puke on the lawn. The whole interior of the house was filled with thousands of porcelain dolls that stared blankly ahead. All the furniture was pushed up against the walls, and the only access to the rooms was through the front door. A shiver went down my spine, and I ran home as fast as I could. My mother later told me that I looked pale as a sheet when I got home, and I couldn't stop shaking. I still think about those dolls to this day. She told me that she didn't want to be here anymore, because this house is filled with demons. When I was 18, I worked as a cook in a remote private school in rural Australia during the summer holidays. The school was massive, taking up most of a large hill, and consisted of multiple buildings connected by long corridors. One night around 3 a.m., the fire alarm went off. I was staying in a dormitory with 3 other guys, and we all got up to investigate. It was the only time in my life I've ever been glad to see a fire. We all stood outside the dormitory watching the flames engulf the building next door. No one else was around, so we stood there for a while. In the morning, after everyone had arrived, we found out that the school caretaker had died in the fire. And as we stood there chatting about how lucky we were to escape, I noticed a kid standing on the other side of the road pointing at us and screaming at the top of his lungs, "You killed him! You killed him!" His mother quickly grabbed him and dragged him away, so I figured it was probably just a kid being a kid. Several months later, I was working in the kitchen when one of the teachers walked in. "Did you know Michael died?" she asked. "Michael?" I replied. "Who's Michael?" "He's the kid who lived next door," she said, "and he blamed you for his father's death." I felt my blood run cold and I turned white as a sheet. After I recovered from the shock, I calmly asked if she could tell me more about this, and she said that she didn't know any more than what I already knew. She must have seen the fear on my face, because she added that she was sure it was just a child's fantasy and that I shouldn't worry about it. It's been 16 years since then, and I'm still creeped out. She kept asking us to kill her instead of letting her live through another day. We ended up taking her to the hospital, where she stayed for a few days until her family picked her up. But after she was gone, the next call came in, and it was the same house again. This time her husband had cut off his own balls and was gushing blood everywhere. We took him to the hospital too. Turns out that her family used to live in that house back in the 70s, and several family members committed suicide there. We're talking about a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and an infant. Their dog was missing too, but at first the parents thought it was just the kids playing hide and seek. Then they started screaming. The parents found them in the basement in front of the new oil furnace. The kids had somehow gotten into the basement, climbed on top of the furnace, and were screaming bloody murder because they thought they were gonna be burned alive. The parents asked how they got down there, and the kids said they were led by a little girl in a nightgown. When he goes to investigate, he finds nothing. When his dog runs to the source of the noise, it growls and won't go further. My friend feels a cold spot on his neck and slowly backs away from the room. These are normal occurrences for him now. A friend recently bought a beautiful home on a hill overlooking the town. It's an old Victorian with turrets. The place is amazing. When I was a medic, we got a call that came in as a possible overdose. These stories are proof that some things are better left unknown. Here are some haunting stories they tried to bury. Our next story comes from a Reddit user. Our next story comes from another Reddit user. For our next story, let's head across the pond to Reddit, where a user shared this experience. Our next story comes from another Reddit user. I used to babysit for a family in the early 90s in Chicago. There's a street known as Death Row, because people who live there mysteriously die. If you enjoyed this episode, and I assume you do since you're still watching, then you'll love the Scary Mysteries series.
Once upon a time, in the heart of medieval England, there lived a young orphaned stable boy named Edwin. And now, this is a tale that's been told and retold around village hearths throughout the ages, each telling more fantastical than the last. For it was said that on nights when the full moon shone bright and clear above the rolling hills and dales, one might hear the sound of harps and lutes echoing across the moorlands, carried on the wind along with the soft murmur of voices like unto a choir, and that if one were pure of heart and followed the sound, they would find themselves beyond the reach of time and mortality. journeying through enchanted forests filled with dryads and other mythical creatures into the very heavens to meet the Moonlight Queen in her celestial court. It was old Thomasina, Edwin's beloved grandmother, who first told him these enchanting tales while she rocked him in his cradle during their long winter nights beneath the vast moonlit sky. For Thomasina knew the ways of old, and her bloodline could be traced back to the ancient druids of these lands. And so it was no surprise that one day, when Edwin had grown to the age of 16 summers, he too heard the haunting strains of music carried on the night breeze. And so, driven by youthful curiosity and a longing for adventure, Edwin resolved to follow the sound to its source, trusting that his grandmother's tales would guide him safely on his way. Thus, after bidding farewell to his gran and the rest of the villagers, Edwin set out into the moonlit countryside alone and unafraid, for he knew not only did the spirits of the land hold no malice towards him, but many would aid him on his quest. Just as Thomasina had foretold, an hour's walk from the village, just as the clock tower chimed midnight, Edwin found himself at the edge of a dark and ancient wood. And as he stepped foot within its shadowy bounds, he heard the rustle of leaves and the flapping of wings above. And there, perched upon a nearby branch, regarding him with wise amber eyes, was the most beautiful snowy owl he had ever seen. Then, as Edwin watched in wonder, the owl spread its great wings and let out a soft hoot, which seemed to echo with a strange familiarity in his mind. And taking flight, the owl glided just ahead of Edwin, allowing him to catch glimpses of its luminous white plumage as it disappeared between the trees. And thus it led him deeper and deeper into the forest, until suddenly before them stood a clearing bathed in moonlight. And in the center, shimmering on the grass, sat a single glowing silver feather. Now, remembering his grandmother's stories, Edwin knew this must be the sign he had been waiting for Thomasina had often spoken of the Mooncaller's spirits of the air, who served as messengers to the Moonlight Queen, guiding travelers lost in darkness to hidden places of magic and wonder. And sure enough, as Edwin reached out to take the feather, it unfolded before his eyes, revealing a message written in swirling script. Edwin, son of Hymer, you have shown a pure heart and listened closely to the tales of old. Now follow this feather, for it holds the moonlight's gentle glow, and it will lead you onwards to the queen who waits above. With these words of encouragement, Edwin tucked the glowing feather into his tunic and continued his journey into the forest, for the owl had already taken flight once more and beckoned for him to follow. As he walked, the trees grew taller and older, their branches gnarled and twisted like the limbs of some slumbering giants. And yet overhead, the canopy was thin enough to allow the moon's soft beams to filter down through, illuminating the moss-covered stones and roots that lay scattered around. And as he ventured deeper into the woods, he heard the distant rush of water and soon came to a small stream babbling over pebbles in the clearing. Here, the owl alighted upon a nearby stone and regarded him with a solemn gaze. Then, dipping its head towards the stream, it hooted softly once more, and Edwin understood that he must follow the flow of the water downstream, until it joined with others to form a lake, for there his path would become clear. So following the stream, Edwin soon came to a weathered stone bridge that crossed over a deep ravine. But pausing a moment, he looked up and saw that the trees had given way to reveal a magnificent view of the night sky. And standing beneath the open heavens, Edwin felt a sense of peace and wonder wash over him like a tidal wave. And in that moment, he realized that the tales his grandmother had told him were not just stories, but fragments of an ancient truth that had been whispered across the ages. For looking up, he saw the silvery feather tucked into his tunic shimmer with renewed brightness, guiding his steps towards the moonlit lake in the distance. So gathering his courage, Edwin stepped onto the moss-covered stones and began his journey across the bridge. Yet suddenly, just as he reached the midpoint, the ground trembled beneath his feet and a deep voice boomed out across the ravine. Then, from the shadows on the far bank, a pair of glowing red eyes emerged, followed by the hulking form of a troll who blocked their way. "Hold, traveler," the troll bellowed, "and explain why you intrude upon my domain." And then with a start, Edwin realized that the troll was not merely an obstacle in his path, but rather a test of character, for trolls are known to dwell in dark places and prey upon the fears of those who wander too close. Yet, though Edwin was but a simple stable lad, he had learned much from his grandmother, for she had taught him that fear is but a shadow cast by the unknown, and that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph of light over dark. And so, taking a deep breath, Edwin stepped forward and met the troll's gaze directly with his own. "I mean you no harm," he said steadily, "for I am but a humble traveler, seeking only to reach the lake beyond your domain. If you will let me pass, I promise I shall not disturb your slumber." The troll regarded him for a long moment, weighing his words, and then surprisingly, a low rumble of laughter echoed from his throat. "Well spoken, little mortal," the troll boomed. "You have passed my test of tongue, and so I shall grant you safe passage to the lake. and even show you a shortcut through the Whispering Woods, where ancient spirits linger still, but only for those with pure intentions. With that, the troll gestured towards a narrow path hidden amongst the trees, barely wide enough for Edwin to fit through. But he thanked the troll and stepped inside, for the trees parted before him, revealing a short and secret passage that led directly to the lake. And as Edwin emerged from the trees, he found himself on the shores of a tranquil body of water, surrounded by weeping willows that dipped their branches into the depths. And from their rustling leaves, Edwin could have sworn he heard the faint whisper of voices greeting him. And as he approached the water's edge, he noticed something peculiar, for the surface of the lake seemed to ripple as though disturbed by a gentle breeze, even though the surrounding trees offered no shelter from the wind. And then suddenly, right before his eyes, the surface of the lake parted as if by an unseen hand, revealing a staircase of purest silver spiraling upwards into the sky. Then, without hesitation, Edwin stepped forward and began to climb. And as he ascended higher and higher, the silver stairs hummed with a celestial light that filled him with warmth and peace. And finally, when he reached the top, he found himself standing on a cloud that floated gently through the night sky. And as the cloud sailed upwards, Edwin saw that the silver stairs had vanished from sight, leaving him alone on his path to the moon. Now the closer Edwin journeyed towards the moon, the more wondrous and fantastical the clouds and skylands he encountered. At times he saw meadows filled with flowers that glowed with bioluminescence, and at others, rivers of starlight flowed like wine from crystal goblets suspended in the heavens. And all around him, mythical English creatures stirred in their slumberous lairs, such as the dryad who hung from a nearby oak, or the slumbering dragon coiled around an ancient abbey that had been forgotten by men. But Edwin stopped to help each of them on his way, for he freed the dryad from a thorny thicket, watered the dragon's den, and woke the abbey's forgotten monks to say their evening prayers. And in return, these mythical creatures aided Edwin on his quest, for the dryad sang enchantments to keep him safe from harm. The dragon lent him its fiery breath to light his way, and the monks provided him with food and drink to sustain his journey. At last, after what seemed like hours upon hours, the silver garden of the moon lay spread before him, and in its center sat the Moonlight Queen upon her celestial throne. And as Edwin approached, he heard the soft chime of bells and the murmur of voices like unto a choir, and he knew he had arrived at his destination. Then the queen turned and regarded him with eyes as bright and clear as the stars above, and she beckoned for him to come closer. "Edwin, son of Hymer," she said, "your deeds have brought you before my court, and now you may ask of me a single wish, for you have shown a pure heart and an unwavering determination to help those in need." And as Edwin stood before the queen, he thought of all the riches and treasures he might ask for. But instead, remembering the plight of his people, he wished for peace to reign across the kingdom, and for all strife and discord to be forgotten. The queen smiled, for she knew that true happiness lay not in material possessions, but in the bonds of love and friendship. And with a wave of her magic wand, she granted Edwin's wish. Then, as the sky filled with fireworks and celestial music echoed through the heavens, Edwin awoke in his bed back in the village, none the wiser as to whether his adventure had been real or a figment of his imagination. But soon, word spread that the king and his counselors had come to a peaceful resolution, and that joy and prosperity returned to the land. And so, though few believed his tale, Edwin knew in his heart that his adventure was true, for he had seen the Moonlight Queen and felt the magic of the moon beneath his feet. And thus, the tale of Edwin and the moon is passed down through the ages, reminding us all that those who seek the moon with pure hearts shine brighter than stars.
Soft, emotional music begins to build. Visual, a lone figure stands in darkness, illuminated only by a faint, distant light. Heartbeat, sound echoes, in the depths of doubt. We all begin, alone, uncertain, afraid. Visual, sunrise breaks over a misty horizon, but within each of us lies a spark, a flame waiting to ignite. Visual montage of athletes training in early morning light, a child taking wobbly first steps, an artist working through the night. The ones who achieve the impossible never stop moving. No one starts strong. We all begin with fear, with failure, with silence. But the difference, music intensifies. Visual, basketball player missing shots, writer crumpling papers, entrepreneur facing closed doors. Failure isn't the end. Every no is a step closer to yes. Every fall is a lesson in how to rise. You need one thing: belief backed by action. Visual, the same basketball player sinking a game-winning shot, the writer holding a published book, the entrepreneur cutting a ribbon on a new business. You don't need to be gifted. You don't need perfect timing. Keywords appear on screen: discipline, vision, grit, belief. These are the tools that forge champions, the weapons that conquer impossibility. Visual mountain climbers struggling up a steep face. When the path seems vertical, when your muscles scream for rest, when doubt whispers give up. Visual climber reaching the summit, arms raised in triumph. That's when you dig deeper. That's when you find what you're truly made of. Fast-paced montage. Olympic sprinter exploding from the blocks. Surgeon performing intricate operation. Coder working furiously at computer. Your potential is limitless. If you choose to rise, to fight, to believe, this is your moment. This is how you achieve anything. Fan those flames. Let them consume your doubts, your fears, your limitations. Music reaches crescendo. It's meant to be forged. Visual, diverse faces of determination, each lighting up one by one. The fire within you is stronger than the fire around you. Visual, person standing at crossroads, looking uncertain. The path to greatness isn't always clear. It's not meant to be. Visual, the same person now, striding confidently forward, leaving footprints that light up behind them. They tell the story of someone who refused to quit. With every step, you create your own way. With every challenge, you build your own strength. Visual time-lapse of a barren field transforming into a lush garden. The proof that anything is possible. Growth takes time. It takes patience. But most of all, it takes persistence. Viscal, close-up of hands, weathered and calloused, but still working. It's waiting for anyone brave enough to claim it. These hands tell a story of late nights and early mornings, of countless tries and just one more attempts. Visual, those same hands now holding a trophy, a diploma, a child. And now, they hold the fruits of that labor. Visual, montage of everyday people achieving extraordinary things. Promises that, when kept, can move mountains. Look around you. Greatness isn't reserved for the chosen few. Visual, person looking in mirror, seeing a stronger version of themselves reflected back. The hero you've been waiting for. It's you. It's always been you. Visual, split screen of before and after transformations. Physical, career, personal. Change isn't easy. It's not supposed to be, but it's always worth it. Keywords reappear. Discipline, vision, grit, belief. These aren't just words. They're promises you make to yourself. Visual, person standing at the base of a seemingly insurmountable obstacle. When the goal seems too big, when the odds feel stacked against you, remember this: to a future limited only by the boundaries of your imagination. Visual, the obstacle begins to crumble, revealing a path beyond. Draw strength from their stories. Add your own to the tapestry of human achievement. Every great achievement in history started as an impossible dream. Music swells, your invitation to rewrite the rules of what's possible. Visual, rapid montage of historical achievements. Moon landing, breaking the sound barrier, curing diseases. Spread your wings, soar higher than you ever thought possible. The limits of human potential are constantly being why not by you? Visual, person taking a deep breath, closing their eyes. Take a moment, feel the power within you, the strength that's always been there, waiting to be unleashed. A testament to human potential that inspires others to reach for their own stars. Visual, their eyes open, filled with determination. Now, open your eyes to a world of possibility. Visual, diverse group of people, all moving forward together. You're not alone on this journey. Look around. See the countless others striving, pushing, believing. Music reaches its peak. This is your call to greatness. Visual, person taking a leap off a cliff, transforming into a soaring eagle. Take that leap. Visual, global map, with pinpoints of light, spreading, connecting. Your achievement isn't just for you, it's a beacon of hope. Music begins to soften. Visual, peaceful scene of accomplishment. A finished masterpiece. A family reunited. A long-sought goal achieved. In the quiet moments after the storm of effort, in the peace of a dream realized, you'll find a truth. Bold quote appears on screen. Everything you need is already inside you. You had the power all along. You just needed to believe. Music fades. Visual, fade to black. Inspirational music drop. This is how you achieve anything. This is how you become unstoppable. Final visual. Subscribe to Acts of Light for more stories that awaken your greatness.
In the tapestry of time, there are moments so profound they have the power to unravel the very essence of our being. In the city's cold embrace, lived a man of today, a man of this time. His days were filled with the city's clamor, his nights with its neon glow. He worked, he dined, he socialized, yet a profound void echoed within him, a melody unsung, a chord unstruck. Despite the city's vibrant hum, he often felt a haunting loneliness, like a timeless lullaby. One day, seeking solace in the city's embrace, he found himself drawn to an ancient ruin, an architectural whisper from days gone by. As he stepped into its hallowed halls, he felt an inexplicable pull, a magnetic resonance that seemed to vibrate deep within his bones. In the heart of the ruin, amidst the silent stones, stood a monolithic archway, its surface adorned with intricate carvings that seemed to writhe and twist into enigmatic patterns. Intrigued, he reached out to touch its weathered surface. And in that instant, the world around him shimmered and dissolved into a vortex of swirling energy, pulling him into the abyss. Then, just as abruptly, the energy coalesced, the swirling subsided, and he found himself enveloped by an unfamiliar tranquility. Gone was the oppressive heat of the city, replaced by a gentle warmth that caressed his skin. The acrid stench of exhaust fumes had yielded to the sweet fragrance of blooming flora. Overhead, instead of the cityscape marred by towering structures, he saw a canopy of lush green leaves dancing in the soft caress of the breeze. He was surrounded by towering trees, their branches interlaced in a verdant embrace that formed a natural cathedral around him. Birdsong filled the air, a melodious chorus that replaced the city's relentless roar. Dazed, he turned to retrace his steps, but the path behind him had vanished, replaced by the same dense foliage. Panic tightened its icy grip around his heart. Where was he? How could he possibly return to the familiar streets he had known all his life? Lost and alone in this verdant labyrinth, fear threatened to consume him. As twilight began its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose, he stumbled upon a clearing. And there, nestled amidst the trees, bathed in the ethereal glow of the setting sun, was a small cottage, its thatched roof blending seamlessly with the rich brown hues of the wooden walls. A wisp of smoke curled invitingly from its chimney, carrying with it the promise of warmth and perhaps, if he dared to hope, sanctuary. Mustering what little courage he could, he approached the cottage. Just as he reached out to knock, the door swung open, revealing a woman who seemed to embody the very essence of the enchanting surroundings. Her eyes were as clear and bright as the morning sky, reflecting a spirit untamed and free. Her hair cascaded down her back like a flowing river, mirroring the nearby babbling brook. Her smile was as warm and inviting as the cottage's hearth, promising solace and comfort. "Welcome," she said, her voice as melodious as the birds that filled the forest with their songs. "You seem weary and lost. Come in, rest and share your tale." In that moment, he poured out his story, the tale of a man out of time, a man seeking a way back to his world. She listened intently, her gaze unwavering, her expression a mixture of concern and contemplation. "Your story is a rare one," she finally spoke, her voice echoing the wisdom of the ancient woods. "But fret not. While the path back to your time may be shrouded in mystery, you are not alone in this labyrinth of time. There's more to this place than meets the eye, and I believe you hold the key to unlocking its secrets." And so began his odyssey of discovery, guided by the enigmatic woman who seemed to hold the secrets of the whispering ruins. Together, they ventured deeper into the emerald embrace of the ancient woods, seeking answers among the moss-covered stones and the rustling leaves. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing moment, his connection with the woman deepened. They explored hidden waterfalls, their laughter echoing in the emerald sanctuary. They walked barefoot on sun-warmed grass, their hands brushing, creating sparks of connection in the vast expanse of nature's beauty. He learned to hunt with a spear, fish with a woven net, and build a fire with primitive tools, rediscovering skills that had been dormant in human history. As the moon waxed and waned in the star-studded sky, he began to understand the rhythm of the ancient world. He reveled in the simplicity of life here, a stark contrast to the complexities of his own time. He slept under a canopy of stars, their light filtering through the leaves overhead, serenading him into dreams filled with wonder. In the quiet moments by the fire, the woman would share tales of a time when humans lived in harmony with nature, their communities thriving on cooperation and love. Her stories were like threads weaving a rich tapestry of a bygone era. And as he listened, he couldn't help but feel a pang of longing for a simpler, more authentic way of life. Yet a part of him, a part he'd never known existed, yearned to stay in this enchanting realm where life flowed at a gentler pace, where connection with the earth and its people was profound, where love was as natural as the cycle of the seasons. Meanwhile, the Whispering Ruin remained a constant presence at the edge of his awareness, a silent reminder of his journey out of time and the possibility of return. It stood as a portal to his past, a past he now cherished, a past that held a love he never thought possible. He found himself standing before the monolithic archway that had become a symbol of his journey through time. The portal shimmered before him, offering a passage back to his own time. But as he looked into its swirling depths, he hesitated. For in that moment, the woman stepped into his view, her eyes shining with love and understanding. The decision that followed was both agonizing and liberating. Torn between two worlds, two loves, two lives, he chose to stay. To stay with the woman who had shown him the true meaning of love, connection, and belonging. To stay in a world that, despite its simplicity, had taught him more about life than he could have ever imagined. And so he turned away from the time portal, leaving behind the familiar hum of the modern world for the enchanting melody of the ancient woods. As the years spun their timeless tales, he found contentment in the rhythm of life by the Whispering Ruin. He built a home with the woman, a haven filled with love and laughter. Their days were spent in shared labor and quiet companionship, their nights under a canopy of stars, their love story unfolding like a timeless ballad. Through the changing seasons, their love remained steadfast. They weathered storms together, finding solace in each other's embrace. They celebrated the bounty of the earth, sharing their joys with the community that had become their family. He discovered a well in the village square, its waters said to possess healing properties. People came from far and wide to bathe in its rejuvenating embrace. He often helped the villagers, sharing his knowledge of medicine from his time, bridging the gap between two eras. Despite the whispers of ancient magic that followed him, he found peace in the simple routines of daily life. The memory of his original world, though vivid, faded with each passing day, replaced by the warmth of his new reality. He had found his purpose here, not in escaping his past, but in embracing the present. He had found his home. One day, standing hand in hand with the woman he loved, he looked out over the golden field that stretched before them, a sea of waving wheat under a sky of endless blue. In the distance, the Whispering Ruin stood as a silent sentinel, connecting him to his past without defining his future. The modern world, with its towering structures and bustling crowds, seemed like a distant dream, a memory from another lifetime. Was he truly lost in time, or had he simply found himself? As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the field, he knew that his journey through time had been more than just a twist of fate. It had been a journey of self-discovery, a journey to a place where time stood still and love echoed through eternity. He realized that the love he shared with the woman, a love that had bloomed in the heart of an ancient world, was a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a spirit capable of transcending time, space, and circumstance. In that moment, as the sky blazed with hues of crimson and gold, he understood that his story, their story, was not just about being lost in time. It was about being found in love. And as the last rays of sunlight kissed the horizon, he and the woman continued their timeless walk hand in hand, their silhouettes etched against the dying embers of the day, their love a beacon in the gathering dusk. The Whispering Ruin receded into the distance, its secrets safe within the folds of time. For in the symphony of existence, their love had found its crescendo. And so their journey became a legend whispered on the winds that rustled through the ancient woods. A legend of a love that defied time, a love that bloomed in the heart of an ancient world and echoed through eternity.
Soft, eerie piano music begins. WhisperedNarration.com and Stereo. Entry 1. The Forgotten Locket, minus 1,876 in the depths of a misty autumn night. I discovered a tarnished locket hidden beneath the floorboards of my grandmother's attic. As I pried it open, a chill ran down my spine. Inside, a faded photograph of a young woman with haunting eyes stared back at me. Her gaze seemed to pierce through time itself, carrying with it a weight of unspoken sorrow, the sound of a faint heartbeat. I felt a presence in the room, a whisper of cold air brushing against my cheek. Tonight, as I passed by, I caught a glimpse of movement in its silvered surface. A face, not my own, appeared for just a moment, eyes wide with fear, mouth open in a silent scream. The locket grew heavy in my hands, as if burdened by the secrets it held. Who was this woman? What story did she long to tell? Visuals, candlelight, flickering, casting shadows on old photographs. Suddenly, words began to form, as if written by an unseen hand. Help me, I'm still here. The mirror fogged over, obscuring the message, but the plea lingered in the air like a desperate prayer. Entry 2, Whispers in the Mirror. 1902, the antique mirror in the hallway has always been a source of unease, sound of dissonant echoes, but it's not the only light that shines here. The grand piano stands silent, its keys yellowed with age, but sometimes, in the deepest hours of the night, music fills the empty space, a haunting melody never before heard by living ears. His spirit, restless and driven, returns night after night, fingers flying over phantom keys as he struggles to finish what he began in life. The music swells, beautiful and sorrowful, a testament to passion that transcends the grave. Each night as the waves crash below, a pale figure appears in the topmost window, a young girl, her face a mask of longing as she gazes out to sea. As I unfolded the topmost envelope, the scent of lavender and gunpowder filled the air. The battle rages on, and I don't know if I'll make it home. But know this, my love for you is eternal. Even if I fall, I will find a way back to you. For a moment I swore I saw a figure in uniform standing by the window, gazing out with longing eyes. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it was gone, leaving only the lingering scent of lavender in its wake. The paper crackled beneath my fingers, revealing words written in a shaky hand. I reached out, my fingers trembling as they touched the cold glass. Visuals, foggy forests, ghostly silhouettes moving between trees. She looked up at me and smiled, her form shimmering like sunlight on water. "Will you play with me?" she asked, her voice a whisper on the wind. But before I could answer, she faded away, leaving only the empty rocking chair and a sense of profound loss. Inside, carefully preserved, is a wedding dress of ivory lace, never worn. Beside it lies a journal, its pages filled with the bride's excited plans for her big day. But the final entry ends abruptly, the pen trailing off mid. Her grief, they say, was too powerful to be silenced by death. Now, she keeps her own vigil, a beacon for lost souls seeking the shore. Entry 3, The Lighthouse Keeper's Daughter. 1928, the old lighthouse stands sentinel on the rocky coast, its beam cutting through the darkness, sound of crashing waves and a distant foghorn. Now, on quiet nights, witnesses claim to see a figure in white walking down the aisle, her veil trailing behind her. She reaches the altar and turns, waiting for a groom who will never arrive. The final entry, scrawled in frantic handwriting, speaks of a terrible storm and a light in the distance, a ghostly ship, perhaps, luring him to his doom. As the first light of dawn breaks through the stained glass windows, she fades away, her dream of love, eternal, yet forever unfulfilled. One steady and true, guiding ships to safety, the other, flickering and ethereal, beckoning the unwary towards the jagged rocks. The keeper, it seems, is still at his post, torn between his duty and the siren call of the phantom ship that claimed his life. But after midnight, when the last visitor has gone, the rustle of turning pages can be heard from the darkest corners. On the table, a crystal ball sits dark and lifeless, but as the clock strikes midnight, candles flicker to life of their own accord, and the crystal ball begins to glow with an otherworldly light. Books slide from shelves of their own accord, opening to reveal passages never before written. In depth, she's found her voice at last, penning tales of wonder and mystery that exists only in the witching hour. She crossed over completely, becoming a conduit between the living and the dead. Each tale a testament to emotions too powerful to be silenced by death. Each secret a thread in the tapestry of the unseen world that surrounds us. Now, each night, she conducts one last, reaching out to lost souls and guiding them towards the light. What if they simply found a quieter way to speak? Through the rustle of leaves in an empty garden, the creak of a floorboard in a silent house, or the whisper of a name carried on the wind. Will you dare to open it and listen to the whispers from beyond the veil? Perhaps if we listen closely enough, we might hear their stories, and in doing so, keep their memories alive for eternity. Those sensitive to such things report feeling a sense of peace and resolution in this room, as if long-held secrets are finally being laid to rest. Those lucky enough to glimpse these phantom pages speak of stories so vivid they seem to come alive before their eyes. I've heard the locals whisper her story, the lighthouse keeper's daughter, waiting eternally for her father to return from a storm-tossed sea. But in the corner, The small rocking chair still moves, creaking gently back and forth as if cradling an invisible occupant. Sometimes, in the quiet hours before dawn, the sound of a child's laughter echoes through the halls. Visuals: a lighthouse beam sweeping across dark waters. Entry 4. The Pianists, Lost Sonata 1955. In the abandoned concert hall, dust motes dance in the air, illuminated by shafts of moonlight. Sound is soft, ghostly piano music. They say it's the work of a brilliant composer who died before his masterpiece was complete. Visuals: sheet music fluttering on an empty piano bench. Entry 5. The Soldier's Letter 1918. Hidden in the attic of an old farmhouse, I found a bundle of letters tied with a faded ribbon. My dearest Elizabeth, I fear this may be my last letter. Sound of distant explosions and a quill scratching on paper. As I read the final line, a gust of wind swept through the room, scattering the letters. Visuals: faded photos of soldiers, fluttering curtains. Entry 6. The Child in the Rocking Chair -1889. The nursery has stood empty for decades, a shrine to a life cut tragically short. Sound of a creaking rocking chair and faint childish giggles. I've seen her once, a little girl with golden curls and bright eyes, playing with toys that haven't existed for a century. Visuals: a teddy bear sitting alone in a rocking chair. Entry 7. The Bride's Unfinished Vows 1947. In the attic of the old church, a trunk sits covered in cobwebs. Sound of church bells in the distance. They say she was on her way to the church when tragedy struck. Visuals: a white veil billowing in an unseen breeze. Entry 8. The Librarian's Last Chapter, its shelves groaning under the weight of countless stories. Sound of pages turning and a quill scratching. It's said to be the work of the old librarian, a woman who spent her life surrounded by books but never wrote one of her own. Visuals: books floating off shelves, pages turning by themselves. Entry 9. LOG 1901. The Lighthouse Keeper's Logbook, its pages yellow and brittle, tells a tale of isolation and madness. Sound of howling wind and crashing waves. Now on stormy nights, sailors report seeing two lights shining from the lighthouse tower. Visuals: a lighthouse beam cutting through fog, revealing a ghostly ship. Entry 10. The Medium's Last of Ijoanen Aryu.
Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a young princess named Pepper. But this wasn't your ordinary princess. Oh no! Pepper had a magical apron and a set of enchanted kitchen tools. And she dreamed of becoming the greatest chef in all the land. But Pepper's heart belonged to the culinary arts. She'd spend hours in the kitchen, chatting with talking carrots and giggling at jokes told by wise old wheels of cheese. Our story begins in the castle kitchen, where Pepper stands on her tippy toes, peering into a giant copper pot. Steam rises, carrying the aroma of her latest creation. Just a pinch more cinnamon, she whispers, as a flying spice jar zooms over, sprinkling a dash of the fragrant powder into the bubbling concoction. Hear thee, hear thee. The little sugar sprite announced, the grand cooking competition of the Enchanted Realms is about to begin. All aspiring chefs are invited to compete for the title of Supreme Culinary Sorcerer. Suddenly, her face lit up. A candle, she exclaimed. The gnome's frown turned into a begrudging smile. Correct, he muttered, stepping aside to let her pass. Pepper's parents, the king and queen, wanted her to focus on princess-wise, things like ballroom dancing and proper etiquette. A dragon made entirely of bread dough challenged her to a baking contest. Using her quick thinking, Pepper sprinkled flour from her magical apron to create a safe path across the gooey terrain. Pepper whipped up a batch of cinnamon rolls, so delicious. The dragon's crusty heart melted. The golem accepted, and soon they were engaged in a battle of tastes. In round 1, Pepper had to create a dish using only ingredients found in an enchanted garden. Her singing sunflower soup not only tasted divine, but also hummed a gentle lullaby as it was served. The challenge: create a meal that could bring joy to even the grumpiest of diners. Pepper combined unexpected ingredients: a pinch of chili with dark chocolate, a splash of lavender in creamy vanilla, creating flavors that danced on the tongue. But it lacked warmth and heart. Pepper, on the other hand, prepared her grandmother's secret recipe: cozy cottage pie. She was crowned the supreme culinary sorcerer. With a golden whisk as her scepter and her magical apron glowing brighter than ever. As the judges took their first bites, their faces softened. It was seeing how her food brought people together, turning strangers into friends and rivals into admirers. She realized that cooking wasn't just about following recipes or winning competitions and belief in your passions. You can overcome any obstacle and achieve your dreams. Whether you're wielding a whisk or a wand, remember that the most powerful magic comes from the heart. It was about spreading love and happiness through the magic of a home-cooked meal. Suddenly, the entire arena was filled with the sounds of happy sighs and contented murmurs. Chefs from all corners of the magical world had gathered. There were witches stirring cauldrons of bubbling stews, elves crafting delicate sugar sculptures, and even a team of trolls known for their surprisingly delicate pastry work. This massive creature of wobbly desert blocked the path to the competition grounds. You might just hear the whisper of enchanted spices or the giggle of a friendly vegetable. For in every kitchen, there's a little bit of magic waiting to be discovered by those who dare to dream and create. Only the most skilled chef may pass. It gurgled in a voice like thick custard. The king and queen, who had worried about their daughter's unusual passion, now beamed with pride. Pepper used her new title and skills to open a magical cooking school, where she taught aspiring chefs from all walks of life. She'd have to journey through the enchanted forest, face tricky challenges, and outsmart rival chefs who'd do anything to win. One day, as Pepper was perfecting her royal raspberry tart recipe, a magical messenger appeared in a puff of powdered sugar. Pepper's eyes widened with excitement. This was her chance to prove herself. But the path to the competition wouldn't be easy. With determination in her heart and her trusty magical whisk in hand, Pepper set off on her grand adventure. The enchanted forest was a wonderland of culinary delights. Trees grew chocolate bark, and bushes sprouted marshmallow flowers. Pepper's rainbow dream cake sparkled with edible glitter and tove. When eaten, gave the judges visions of their heart's desires. But it was also full of challenges that would test Pepper's skills and courage. Her first obstacle came in the form of a grumpy garden gnome guarding a bridge made of pretzel sticks. "None shall pass," he grumbled, "unless you can solve my riddle." The gnome cleared his throat and recited, "I'm tall when I'm young, and short when I'm old. What am I?" Pepper thought hard, her brow furrowed in concentration. As Pepper ventured deeper into the forest, she encountered all sorts of magical creatures. Next, she had to navigate through the syrup swamp, where every step threatened to stick her in place. Just when Pepper thought she was in the clear, she came face to face with her biggest challenge yet, the pudding golem. Pepper took a deep breath and approached the golem. "I challenge you to a flavor duel," she declared bravely. The pudding golem was impressed. With a bow of its jiggly head, it stepped aside, allowing Pepper to continue on her journey. At last, Pepper arrived at the grand competition arena. The competition was fierce. For the second challenge, competitors had to bake a cake that could grant wishes. In the final round, Pepper faced off against the reigning champion, a stern-faced witch named Griselda Sorpus. Griselda's dish was technically perfect, a roast phoenix with sides of golden apples and ambrosia salad. When the final scores were tallied, Pepper emerged victorious. But Pepper's greatest reward wasn't the title or the crown. Pepper returned to her kingdom. She was greeted as a hero. And so, our tale comes to a close. Princess Pepper's adventure taught her that with creativity, kindness, the next time you're in the kitchen, listen closely. And as for Princess Pepper, well, she lived happily ever after, cooking up new adventures and spreading joy, one magical dish at a time. There are some places so remote that they seem to exist outside of time, enigmatic pockets of existence where the laws of man simply do not apply. They are lawless lands, uncharted territories, savage sanctuaries where the only law is the law of the wild. It is here where our story begins, in the forgotten embrace of an ancient wood. Time has long since ceased to have any meaning within these woods. It is a timeless expanse of towering trees and tangled undergrowth. Sunlight filters through the dense canopy, painting the forest floor in a mosaic of light and shadow. Here, amidst the moss-covered stones and the whispering trees, our tale unfolds. The boy who we will call Wren lived within this forest. Wren was alone. He had no memory of ever having a family or ever having a home other than the forest. He was likely abandoned or lost many years ago, left to face the untamed wilderness and fend for himself against the wild animals and harsh elements. He was just a babe in the woods. But surprisingly, he survived. Over the years, he learned to find food and shelter, to read the signs of the forest and navigate its winding paths. He became one with the rhythm of the wild, the whisper of the wind through the leaves, the babbling of the brook over stones, the rustle of small feet in the undergrowth. He knew all of these things by heart. This was his world, his life, his home. But there was always something else in the woods, something that watched him from afar. When Wren looked up from gathering berries or building a makeshift shelter, he would sometimes catch glimpses of movement in his peripheral vision. He would spin around, but whatever it was gone. All he would find was more trees and undergrowth. There was nothing there at all, or was there? It was until he was old enough to venture deeper into the woods that he started to get closer to the truth. He found wolf droppings, scraps of fur, and the occasional discarded bone. And then he started seeing the wolves themselves. They were big, strong, and beautiful. Their fur the color of the night sky sprinkled with stars. Their eyes glowed with an eerie light, eyes that seemed to hold ancient secrets and wisdom. They were majestic predators, perfectly adapted for their environment, and yet they seemed to be watching him. Ren was afraid of them at first. Any animal instincts told him to run from such powerful creatures. Yet there was something about their gaze that held him captive, something that compelled him to stay. Despite his fear, he couldn't help but feel a strange sense of kinship with these wolves. He was alone in this vast wilderness, just as they must have been when they roamed the land in search of prey. He understood their need for solitude, their dependence on the wild. At first, they kept their distance, appearing to him only as fleeting shadows and distant howls. But as the seasons turned and the years rolled by, their behavior began to shift. They started coming closer. Sometimes he would hear their paws on the soft earth as they approached him, their musky scent filling his nostrils. He would freeze, holding his breath, hoping they wouldn't notice him. Yet they always seemed to sense his presence. Then they would stop, their heads cocked, listening intently, as if trying to decipher the sounds around them. When the full moon hung heavy in the night sky, bathing the forest in an ethereal glow, the wolves would draw even closer. Their eyes, twin pools of liquid gold, locked onto his, and he felt a primal connection stir within him. He knew they were communicating with him, sharing their thoughts and feelings, inviting him to join them on their hunts. As the bond between Ren and the wolves deepened, the forest itself seemed to reveal its secrets to him. He began to understand the language of the birds, the rustling leaves, and the babbling brooks. He learned the healing properties of certain plants and the best places to find food and water. The forest, once a place of fear and solitude, became his sanctuary, his teacher, his companion. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of purple and orange, Ren found himself cornered. A group of men with guns and dogs had surrounded him, their faces grim, their intentions clear. He could hear their harsh voices echoing through the trees, their words laced with malice and intent. Fear surged through him, threatening to consume him. As they closed in on him, their dogs snarling and their guns raised, he thought his time had come. Just when he believed all hope was lost, a low growl echoed through the forest. The ground trembled beneath his feet, and the men and their dogs froze, their heads turning towards the sound. From the depths of the woods emerged the wolves, their eyes blazing with fury, their teeth bared in a silent snarl. They were a formidable sight, their fur bristling, their muscles tensed, ready to defend their own. The leader of the men cursed under his breath, his eyes narrowing. He raised his gun, its cold metal glinting in the fading light. "Get back, you damn wolf!" he shouted, his voice echoing with anger. Before he could pull the trigger, a bullet whizzed past his ear, embedding itself in the tree beside him. The men and their dogs scattered, their earlier confidence evaporating in the face of the wolves' unwavering defense. They fled into the safety of the forest, their shouts and the barking of dogs fading into the darkness. Once they were gone, the wolves approached Ren, their growls softening into gentle whines. They nudged him with their wet noses, their eyes filled with concern. He could feel their warmth, their strength, their wild spirit enveloping him, offering comfort and protection. In that moment, Ren realized he was not truly alone. He had the wolves, their loyalty and love, their fierce determination to protect him. He belonged to them, and they were his family now. As the years passed, Ren grew older, his bond with the wolves deepening with each passing season. They shared their meals, their hunts, their lives with him. He learned to track deer and rabbits, to fight off bears and wolves, to survive in the harshest of winters. He became one of them, a member of the pack, a child of the wild. Yet a part of him still remembered the world beyond the trees. The world of human beings, of towns and villages, of roads and cars. Sometimes he wondered what lay beyond the horizon, if there was a place for him in that world. One day, as the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows through the trees, the wolves began to stir. A fire had broken out beyond the trees, its flames licking hungrily at the dry underbrush. The wolves let out a chorus of howls, their voices echoing the alarm. They were agitated, uneasy, protective. Ren felt a surge of fear mixed with determination. He knew he had to act. They reached a small clearing where several tents had been set up. "Help me!" the woman cried out, her voice trembling. "Please, help us!" They helped the woman and the girl escape the burning tents, guiding them to safety beyond the reach of the flames. Finally, when they reached a safe distance from the fire, the wolves stopped and turned to look back at the inferno, their eyes blazing with determination. Ren knew what they were thinking. They wanted to go back and help anyone who had been left behind. Despite his admiration for their courage, Ren also knew the danger that lay ahead. "It's too late," he said softly, his voice filled with regret. "We can't go back now." The wolves seemed to understand his words, and with a final mournful howl, they turned and followed Ren deeper into the forest. Back in the sanctuary of the woods, Ren felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that he had helped those in need. But a part of him couldn't help but wonder about the world beyond the trees, the world he had been a part of before he became one with the wild. He missed the warmth of human touch, the sound of human voices, the taste of human food. He missed the simplicity of human life, the ease with which he could communicate with them, share stories and laughter around a fire. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, a change began to come over Ren. He started venturing further from the pack, exploring the forest alone. He would climb to the highest peaks, gazing at the distant mountains, wondering what lay beyond the familiar trees. He would stand by the river, listening to its flowing waters, dreaming of far-off lands. The wolves noticed his restlessness, his yearning for something beyond the forest. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of red and gold, the wolves gathered around Ren. Ren looked back at them, his heart aching. He knew in that moment that he could not stay. His journey had brought him full circle. He had found his place in the wild, but his path now lay beyond the trees. With a heavy heart, he stood up, his gaze lingering on the pack. He took a step back, then another, the distance between him and the wolves growing with each movement. He could feel their sorrow, their confusion, their silent farewell. As he walked away from the pack, he heard their mournful howls echoing through the forest, their voices carrying his name on the wind. He kept walking, not daring to look back, his footsteps echoing in the stillness of the night. He carried with him the lessons of the wild, the resilience, the independence, the profound connection with nature. Did the boy become one of the wolves? Or was he never meant to return to the world of men? For the forest holds many secrets, and the path of the wild is never easy. The boy who had nothing but a dream. I am nothing special. I am just a product of my environment. My parents had very little education. They had no money, and they were poor farmers. We lived in a small rural village where there wasn't much hope for a better future. Everyone around me seemed to be hopeless and defeated. When I was young, I wondered why I was born into this world with all of its pain, suffering, and sadness. One day when I was very young, maybe 5 or 6 years old, I heard my mother crying in our small hut. I remember knocking on the door and asking, "Mother, what's wrong?" She opened the door and hugged me. She couldn't speak because she was crying so hard. My mother told me that Father had gone to the fields to try and grow some crops. But it hadn't rained in a long time and everything was dying. "But don't worry," she said, trying to wipe her tears away. "We will be all right. Your father and I will find a way." That night, I cried myself to sleep thinking about how we would eat. Felt so helpless and weak. This is how I realized I had nothing. The next morning after sunrise, I went out to the fields to look for food. I was barefoot and didn't have any shoes. My stomach growled loudly. I picked up a few vegetables from the ground and ate them raw. I tried to calm my growling stomach by telling myself, "You will be all right. You will be strong one day." At age 7, I stopped going to school because I had to work in the fields to help my family survive. Every day I worked under the hot sun until sunset. There was no water and everyone was getting sick. When people got sick, they usually died. One day while working in the fields, I saw a man on a horse. He was wearing expensive clothes and a beautiful hat. I remember thinking, how can I get some of that man's money? I went up to him and asked, "Can you give me some money for food?" He looked at me with disgust and said, "Get away, you dirty animal! You are nothing but a worthless animal." I felt humiliation and anger. Why did he have to be so rude? This made me even more determined to become rich and successful. That night, I told my mother, "Mom, I want to become rich so we won't have to live like this anymore." She held me and said, "You can do it. I believe in you." Her belief gave me hope. The next morning after sunrise, I left the village to look for work. I walked all day and at sunset I found a place to sleep. I didn't want to go home empty-handed. So before sleeping, I went out to the fields to look for food. I ate some fruit and drank some water from a nearby stream. Then I slept under the stars in the middle of the field. In the morning, I woke up and continued walking. A few days later, I arrived at a big city. It was so big that I got lost among the tall buildings and busy people. I didn't know anyone here. Walked around the city for a while, looking for work. Finally, I found someone who gave me $5 to carry some boxes. I happily took the job. After carrying the boxes, I went to an eating place and bought some bread. Couldn't believe how delicious it tasted. I sat there eating my bread and thought about how I could make more money. At that moment, I saw a group of men playing soccer. Joined them and started playing. One of the men noticed me and came over to ask, "Do you want to play for our team?" I agreed, and at the end of the game, they paid me $20 to play for their team. Every day after school, I practiced soccer, trained very hard, and became good at it. Used the money I earned to buy food for myself and my family. For the first time in a long time, we didn't have to worry about what we were going to eat the next day. My mom was so happy because now she didn't have to cry anymore. When I turned 18, I started dating a girl. She was beautiful and kind. I wanted to marry her, but I knew I wasn't ready yet. One day I proposed to her and she accepted. I was so happy. A year later, we had our first child, a baby girl. I loved her so much. I wanted to give her the best life possible, so I continued to work hard. I started saving money for our future. I saved enough money to open my own store in the city. I named it Future Star. I put all my hopes and dreams into this business. Every day I worked in the store. At night, I went home to my family. I was so happy to be able to give them a good life. I remember coming home from the store one night and seeing my son playing with a ball in front of our house. I remember thinking I will make sure my children never have to go hungry again. Unfortunately, 2 years later, my father died. I was very sad, but I knew I had to stay strong for my family. I missed my dad, but I had to keep moving forward. During the 3rd year of running my store, I had my second child, a baby boy. I loved being a father. It was amazing to see my children grow up happy and healthy. I told them, never give up, my children. If I can do it, so can you. Then the worst thing that could ever happen, happened. One day my wife came home from the market and suddenly became very ill. She was taken to the hospital, but there was nothing they could do. She passed away. I was devastated. How could this happen? What would I do without my wife? I promised her I would never give up. So I couldn't give up now. I stayed strong for my children. I told myself, it's okay. God needed her more than I did. When my children grew up, I told them stories about their mother. I told them how beautiful she was and how much I loved her. I taught them to always be honest, kind, and helpful to others. As the years passed, I grew older. I looked back on my life and realized how far I had come. I started my life with nothing, but through hard work and determination, I had built a good life for myself and my family. I had become successful, and I wanted to give back. So I began helping those who were less fortunate. I gave food to the hungry, money to the poor, and clothes to the naked. I also set up a foundation to help children get an education. I wanted to make sure no child had to go through what I had. One day, when I was an old man, I sat down to reflect on my life. I thought about all the challenges I had faced and the successes I had achieved. I had started my life with nothing, but I had accomplished many things. I had become rich and successful. But more importantly, I had made a difference in the world. I had helped others and given back. As the sun set, I closed my eyes and smiled. I had lived a good life. I knew my wife and children were proud of me. I had made them proud. I was ready to go to sleep for the last time. And when I woke up, I knew I would be in a better place. Some people may think that having nothing is a bad thing. I believe that having nothing is actually a good thing. It gives you the opportunity to create something out of nothing. It gives you the chance to make a difference. Don't complain about having nothing. Instead, use what you have to make a difference. The world needs more people who are willing to help others. When you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what can I do today to make the world a better place? Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and share if you liked it. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new videos. Hidden deep within an ancient forest where time seems to stand still, there exists from shimmering glass, this ethereal kingdom is nestled between towering crystal trees that pierce the twilight sky and their branches, adorned with glowing orbs that serve as both home and sustenance for the mystical creatures that dwell here. Bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, the kingdom's towering glass castles shimmer and reflect, their spires reaching towards the heavens like celestial lighthouses guiding lost souls to their shores. Translucent sapphire bridges gracefully float between the aisles, connecting them in a delicate dance of light and shadow. Each step on these bridges feels like walking on clouds, and from above, they appear as veins of sapphire adorning the landscape. As twilight descends, gentle snowflakes made of crystal begin their silent descent, blanketing the ground in a layer of sparkling frost. This mesmerizing spectacle creates a world that seems straight out of a fairy tale, yet remains shrouded in mystery and secrets waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to the Glass Kingdom. Within this forgotten realm, ancient magic lingers in every glistening shard and crystalline structure. The kingdom is not merely a place, but a living, breathing entity filled with wonder and enchantment. But amidst the beauty, there exists a vulnerability so fragile it could shatter at the touch of a careless traveler. The very essence of the kingdom is tied to an ancient secret that has been forgotten by all except for a few. Amongst the kingdom's breathtaking landscapes lies a vast mirror lake, its surface reflecting the sky like a portal to other realms. Here, the boundaries between reality and illusion seem to blur, creating a sense of infinite depth and endless possibility. The lake is not just a body of water, but a conduit to the very soul of the Glass Kingdom. Its waters hold the memories of the kingdom's past and are said to reveal glimpses of its future. Many come to the lake seeking answers or guidance, hoping to catch a glimpse of what lies ahead. In the very heart of the kingdom, there blooms an exquisite glass rose, its petals as delicate and translucent as stained glass windows in a cathedral. This rose is no mere flower. It is a living embodiment of the kingdom's life force, its beauty and fragility serving as a reminder of the delicate balance that sustains this enchanted realm. As the rose flourishes, the kingdom thrives. But should its petals wither, the very fate of the Glass Kingdom hangs in the balance. Amidst the Glass Kingdom's breathtaking landscapes, there exists an enchanting grove, where colossal crystal trees stand as silent sentinels of the ages. Their branches, adorned with countless glowing orbs, reach towards the heavens, forming a canopy that filters the sunlight into a myriad of rainbows across the forest floor. These crystal trees are not just natural wonders, but conduits of magical energy that sustain the very essence of the kingdom. Their roots delve deep into the earth, drawing upon ancient powers that have endured for millennia. Amongst these majestic trees, there is a particular tree that holds a special significance. Known as the heartwood, its trunk is the largest and its canopy the densest, creating a sacred space of tranquility and power. Here, the air is charged with mystical energy, and it is said that those who meditate beneath the heartwood branches can unlock hidden potential and gain insights into the deepest mysteries of the universe. As the gentle breeze whispers through the glass kingdom, it awakens another enchanting wonder. Wind chimes made of ice crystal suspended gracefully amidst the trees. These chimes sing a haunting melody that resonates with the very soul of the kingdom. Their music is said to carry messages from the spirits of the forest, sharing tales of days long past and prophecies of what is yet to come. The sound of the chimes echoes through the ages, a timeless symphony that adds to the kingdom's mystique and allure. High above the glass kingdom, majestic unicorns, with coats like spun moonlight and horns of polished crystal roam freely. Their presence is a testament to the purity and magic that permeates this forgotten realm. These unicorns are not just mythical creatures, but symbols of hope and healing. Their very touch, said to have the power to mend broken spirits and restore balance to those who are lost. Their hooves barely make a sound as they dance across the glass bridges. Their movements as graceful and elegant as the music of the spheres. They seem almost ethereal, as if woven from moonlight and stardust, perfectly camouflaged to their surroundings. In the azure expanse above the glass kingdom, mystic phoenixes soar through the twilight sky. Their plumage, a kaleidoscope of vibrant colors that dance and shimmer in the fading light. These magnificent birds are more than just creatures of myth and legend. They embody the eternal cycle of renewal and rebirth, rising from their own ashes to symbolize the everlasting hope that flickers even in the darkest of times. Their feathers, when shed, transform into glistening shards that sparkle like diamonds scattered across the landscape below. These shards, imbued with the phoenix's fiery essence, are said to possess extraordinary healing properties, capable of mending not only physical wounds, but also broken spirits. Amidst the glass kingdom's ethereal beauty, tiny yet luminous fairies flutter about, their wings shimmering with iridescent hues that shift and sparkle in the fading light. These whimsical creatures are the embodiment of the kingdom's magic, their laughter echoing like tinkling bells, their presence a constant reminder of the enchantment that permeates every corner of this forgotten realm. The fairies, with their intimate connection to the land, are acutely aware of the Glass Kingdom's precarious state. They tirelessly work to protect and preserve their homeland, tending to the crystal rose and ensuring the well-being of the kingdom's mythical inhabitants. Their magic, though subtle, is vital to the survival of the Glass Kingdom. As night falls over the Glass Kingdom, the sky transforms into a canvas of twinkling stars, casting their ethereal glow upon the land below. In the depths of this star-studded sky, a shooting star streaks across the darkness, leaving a trail of shimmering stardust in its wake. This celestial spectacle heralds the arrival of a lone traveler who finds themselves inexplicably irresistibly drawn to the kingdom's enchanting embrace. As they journey deeper into this realm of shimmering glass, they soon realize that their presence has awakened an ancient secret that could either awaken the slumbering magic of the kingdom or shatter it forever. With each step, the traveler feels an inexplicable connection to the Glass Kingdom, as if destiny itself has led them to this forgotten corner of the world. The fate of the kingdom now rests upon their shoulders, and they must navigate a labyrinth of magical trials and mystical encounters to uncover the truth behind the kingdom, existence, and their role in safeguarding its future. The traveler journeys through the Glass Kingdom. They encounter a myriad of mystical creatures, each more enchanting than the last. But amidst this ethereal beauty, a sense of foreboding lingers. The traveler soon realizes that the kingdom is in peril, its magic fading with each passing moment. To save this enchanting realm, they must embark on a perilous quest, facing challenges that will test their courage, wisdom, and compassion. Along their path, they uncover fragments of the kingdom's forgotten history, piecing together the tale of a once thriving civilization that vanished without a trace. With every revelation, the stakes rise, and the traveler's determination to protect the Glass Kingdom grows stronger. But lurking in the shadows are forces that seek to exploit the kingdom's magic for their own nefarious purposes. The traveler must outwit cunning adversaries, navigate treacherous landscapes, and confront their inner demons to prevent the kingdom's demise. As the final confrontation looms, the traveler must make a choice that will determine the fate of the Glass Kingdom. Will they embrace their destiny and become the heroes of this forgotten realm? Or will they succumb to the darkness that threatens to consume it? The fate of the Glass Kingdom hangs in the balance, and the traveler's every decision brings them closer to the truth behind this shimmering realm and their own place within it. As the traveler ventures deeper into the Glass Kingdom, the ethereal melody swells, carrying with it a sense of awe and wonder. Each note resonates with the magic that permeates this forgotten realm, stirring the traveler's soul and awakening memories they didn't know they possessed. The music seems to guide them, leading them towards the heart of the kingdom and the truth behind its existence. The melody weaves its way into the traveler's dreams, haunting their sleep with visions of a world on the brink of annihilation. Through these dreams, they receive cryptic clues and warnings, urging them to act swiftly before it's too late. The traveler finds solace in the music, for it is a language that transcends words, speaking directly to their emotions and reminding them of the beauty that they are fighting to protect. The traveler's journey continues. The melody evolves, mirroring their emotional journey and underscoring the epic tale that unfolds before them. The Glass Kingdom is not just a setting, but a character in itself, its fate intertwined with the traveler's every move. As the traveler journeys through this realm of shimmering beauty, the enchanting music serves as a constant companion, guiding, warning, and inspiring them on their quest to save the Glass Kingdom and uncover the secrets that bind them to this forgotten corner of the world. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the kingdom of Etheria. High atop the tallest tower in the royal palace, Princess Amara gazed out at the vibrant tapestry of the city below. Her heart, however, was not in the sweeping vista before her, but was elsewhere, hidden away like a precious secret. Her thoughts were of a young man named Liam, a poor woodcarver who lived on the outskirts of the city. He had no claim to the throne, no royal lineage, and nothing but his talent with a chisel and a heart full of dreams. And yet it was him, not the princes and dukes who sought her hand, whom Amaranthine loved with all the fierce devotion of youth. Their love story was one woven in stolen moments, furtive glances and whispered promises under the cloak of night. The princess, gifted with a voice that could calm the fiercest storm, found solace in Liam's quiet strength. In his humble abode, amidst the scent of sawdust and the soft glow of lamplight, she discovered a love that resonated deeper than the ancient stones of her kingdom. But their clandestine romance was threatened by the looming presence of an arranged marriage, a political necessity orchestrated by her father, King Alaric. He sought to solidify the kingdom's peace by forging an alliance with the neighboring land of Eldoria through his daughter's union with Prince Caius of Eldoria. The day of the arranged marriage approached. The weight of her dual destinies pressed heavily upon Amaranthine. On one side, the secure path of duty, tradition, and kingdom's interest. On the other, the uncertain but passionate road of love, freedom, and happiness. Torn between these two parallel lives, the princess found herself at a crossroads. The decision she made would not only shape her own future, but also the fate of Ethereum. With each passing day, the skies above the palace seemed to mirror her inner turmoil. Storms that once responded to her song now raged with a fury she couldn't soothe. Secrets of the kingdom's past, long buried, began to surface, whispering tales of a time when Etheria's heart was not weighed so heavily on tradition and duty. Amidst this brewing chaos, whispers of rebellion started to stir in the wind. Common folk, inspired by the princess's predicament, voiced their discontent against the impending marriage. They saw in Amaranthine's struggle a reflection of their own yearnings for a life unbound by the chains of obligation. As the palace walls echoed with dissent and the skies roared with dissent, Amaranthine found herself leaning more towards her heart than her crown. With the support of her mother, Queen Esilda, who understood the suffocating grip of duty, the princess decided to defy tradition. She penned a heartfelt letter to King Alaric, pouring out her love for Liam, her reasons for choosing him over the prince she was to wed. The letter, a testament to her undying convictions, was then released into the kingdom through secret passageways, carried by the wind itself to reach the ears of every citizen. The response was immediate and overwhelming. People from all walks of life rallied behind the princess, their support growing louder than the drums of war. The merchants who once criticized her choice of suitor now championed her cause. The nobles who scoffed at the idea of a pauper prince suddenly saw the merit in her love story. And so, on the eve of her arranged marriage, Amaranthine found herself at the center of a rebellion ignited by love. The people of Ethereum, inspired by her courage, rose up against the old traditions, demanding a chance for happiness. Not just for their princess, but for themselves as well. The king, caught off guard by the sudden upheaval, found himself at odds with the very kingdom he had ruled for so long. The once staunch supporters of tradition were swayed by the tide of public opinion, leaving King Alaric isolated and with no choice but to relent. And so it was that Princess Amara, defying age-old customs, chose love over duty, her heart over her crown. She wed Liam in a simple ceremony that resonated with the simplicity and sincerity of their love story. The kingdom, once divided, now united in its support for the young couple, celebrated with unbridled joy. Amaranthine, adorned not in finery fit for a princess, but in the rustic elegance of a woman in love, walked hand in hand with Liam down the cobblestone streets. The cheers of the crowd were music to her ears, sweeter than any royal decree. As the festivities continued late into the night, the reformed king watched his daughter from afar, a mixture of pride and wistfulness in his eyes. He realized that sometimes duty, however sacred, had to bow to the overwhelming force of true love. In the days that followed, Ethereum saw changes both swift and profound. With the shackles of tradition loosened, the kingdom began to breathe anew. Trade flourished, art thrived, and the very air seemed charged with a newfound sense of freedom. Even the skies above the palace, once stormy and sullen, now mirrored the joy in the kingdom. The storms that once threatened were now gentle showers, nourishing the land. The secrets of the past became tales whispered around hearths, bonding families with shared stories instead of dividing them. As Amaranthine and Liam began their life together, they did so not in a gilded cage, but in a home filled with laughter and love. Their union, a testament to the transformative power of love, became a beacon of hope for many young lovers within the kingdom. Yet, as the years passed and Ethereum prospered, a shadow loomed on the horizon. The neighboring kingdom of Eldoria, led by Prince Caius, whom Amaranthine was to have married, seethed with resentment. Caius, fueled by ambition and a thirst for power, saw Ethereum's transformation and the role Amaranthine and Liam played in it. Determined to undo what he perceived as a personal and political loss, he began to plot, assembling a formidable army that cast a long, ominous shadow over the border. The people of Ethereum, once reveling in their newfound freedoms, now stood united against the threat posed by Eldoria. Led by their beloved king and queen, between Amaranthin and Liam. They prepared to defend not just their kingdom, but the very essence of what made it great, their love for each other and their freedom. As the army of Eldoria approached Ethereum's borders, the once peaceful fields became battlegrounds. Swords clashed, arrows flew, and the rumble of war shook the very foundations of Ethereum. Amidst the chaos and bloodshed, Amaranthine found herself torn. Her voice, once used to calm storms, was now silenced by the horrors of war. The smile that once radiated joy was replaced by a determined frown. The love of her life, once a source of unwavering strength, was now a shield she feared might be taken from her. And yet, even in the darkest hours of battle, the spirit of Ethereum endured, inspired by their leaders and bound together by their love for their kingdom and each other. The people of Ethereum fought with a ferocity that surprised even their seasoned opponents. As the final battle raged, Amaranthin knew she couldn't stand idly by. Though her place was beside her husband, her heart called her to action. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, her voice echoing with the strength of 1,000 suns. She sang, not of love and peace, but of courage, unity, and resilience. Her voice rallied the troops, bolstering their spirits and fortifying their resolve. It was a battle cry disguised as a lullaby, a call to arms cloaked in the beauty of her song. And as her song reached its crescendo, the tide of battle turned. The soldiers of Ethereum, rejuvenated by her melody, fought with renewed vigor, driving back the forces of Eldoria. In the end, it was not brute force nor superior numbers that won the battle, but the indomitable spirit of Ethereum, a spirit personified by a princess who chose love over duty and a pauper prince who loved her back. As peace returned to Ethereum, Amaranthin and Liam stood hand in hand, surveying the damage wrought by war. But amidst the destruction, they saw the resilience of their people, the strength of their bond, and the unwavering love that had seen them through the darkest of times. Their love, tested in the fires of war, had emerged even stronger, binding them together and uniting their people. For in choosing each other, they had not just found love, they had discovered a purpose, a legacy that would echo through the ages. Ethereum, once on the brink of ruin, was now poised for rebirth. A testament to the enduring power of love, unity, and the courage to choose one's own destiny. And at the heart of it all stood Amaranthine and Liam, their love story, a beacon, guiding their kingdom towards a future as bright and boundless as their love for each other. Once upon a time, in an enchanting realm where ancient myths danced with the azure waters of the Aegean Sea, there existed a hidden island shrouded in mystery and magic. The island was known only to the whispering waves and the circling seagulls, a secret sanctuary untouched by the hands of time. Within those time-worn walls resided a princess, a celestial being of ethereal beauty who had been banished from the kingdom, condemned to an eternity of solitude. And like the cosmos above, she was a vast expanse of emotions, brimming with kindness, warmth, laughter, and sorrow. Her hair flowed like molten gold, cascading down her back, framing a face that could launch 1,000 ships, and a soul that yearned for connection. Perched atop a hill overlooking the endless expanse of the shimmering sea, sat an ancient castle. Its weathered stones silently guarding the heart of the island. Her name was Amara, which meant stardust in Greek. The air was sweet with the scent of blooming jasmine, and the sound of crashing waves provided a soothing rhythm to her day. Ivy crept up ancient walls, weaving tales of resilience and beauty. Birds nested in the highest towers, their songs echoing through the empty halls. Even the smallest cracks in the pavement seemed to bloom with life, adorned with vibrant wildflowers that refused to be subdued by the castle's melancholic embrace. The papyrus rustled softly in the gentle sea breeze, bearing witness to the secrets of her heart. The ink flowed from her quill, forming words that danced across the page, each stroke a testament to her unwavering spirit. Then she stood, her silhouette framed by the setting sun, and called out to the heavens. As she wandered through the castle, its vast emptiness resonated with her own solitude, each room echoing the silence of her forgotten existence. I write to you with a heavy heart, burdened by the solitude that has become my constant companion. Her tears mingling with the dust of forgotten ages, a poignant reminder of the timeless ache of a lonely heart. And still, Amara remained on her hidden island, her spirit unbroken, yet tinged with a deep and aching loneliness. The grand halls of my ancestral home echo with emptiness, and the throne that once awaited my touch lies vacant and cold. Let my story have a new chapter. Let my heart find its long-lost beat. A gentle breeze swept across the island, carrying with it the faint strains of laughter and the murmur of voices. But it was the sight of the men and women crowding the decks that truly captured her attention. In that moment, Zeus, the all-seeing, all-knowing king of the gods, raised his hand, silencing the laughter and murmurs. We have heard your call, and we are here to right the wrongs that have befallen you. His voice, resonating with authority, boomed across the shore. In that moment, she knew that her fate was about to change, guided by the very hands that shaped the course of the cosmos. Gay, they were unlike any she had seen before, radiating an otherworldly charm and power. Their laughter echoed with an otherworldly merriment, and their voices carried the cadence of celestial music. Startled, Amara rushed to the highest tower of the castle, her heart pounding in her chest. The men and women descending from the vessels moved with an otherworldly grace, their steps light, their voices filled with an unearthly harmony. Among them, she recognized the gods of Olympus, their forms radiant, their eyes twinkling with celestial mirth. Zeus, the king of the gods, strode forward, his presence commanding respect and awe. Beside him walked Hera, his consort, radiating majesty and power. Apollo, the god of music and light, played a joyful tune on his lyre, his melodies echoing the laughter of the gods. Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, graced the shore with her presence, her laughter tinkling like silver bells. And there was Poseidon, the earth shaker, his trident held high, his eyes sparkling with amusement. And what she saw before her eyes made her gasp in astonishment. With a start, Amara realized that her heartfelt plea had reached the heavens, awakening the slumbering gods. Overwhelmed with emotion, she descended from the tower, her steps hesitant, her heart pounding in her chest. I am but a mortal, yearning for a love that sets my soul aflame, a connection that banishes this endless night. My days are filled with the whispers of the wind, and my nights are haunted by the shadows of my past. Oh, to feel the warmth of human connection once again, to hear the joyous laughter that once resonated within these four walls. If fate is kind, may this letter find its way to a kindred soul who understands the depths of my despair. If such a soul exists, I implore you, come to me, for in your presence, I may just find solace from this eternal night. If the gods themselves were to grace us mortals with a glimpse into the hallowed halls of Olympus, what would they reveal? Sunlight streamed through an open window, illuminating motes dancing in the air. She laid her tiny feast on a flat stone, its surface worn smooth by countless hands that had come before. Sleep offered no escape, for even in dreams, she was haunted by the specter of her forgotten existence. With a sigh, she laid down on her bed, its silken sheets a poor substitute for the warmth of human touch. Restless, she tossed and turned, her mind replaying moments from a life left behind. Memories of a loving family, of friends whose laughter echoed in her ears, and of a people who once adored her, now faded into oblivion. Tears welled up in her eyes, glistening like diamonds in the moonlight that streamed through her window. She cried out, not in anger, but in the sheer force of her despair. A lament for a love that had turned to ash, and a hope that seemed destined to flicker and die. In the stillness of the room, surrounded by echoes of the past, she enjoyed her meal, savoring each bite. The figs offered a burst of sweet juiciness, while the olives brought a briny depth of flavor. The honey added a touch of floral sweetness, harmonizing with the pungent notes of the herbs. It was a symphony of taste and texture in her mouth, and with each mouthful, a sense of peace settled over her. The journey was long and fraught with peril, but Amara's determination burned bright, guiding her towards the distant shores of hope. With a smile gracing her lips, she began preparing a feast fit for a forgotten princess. First, she gathered plump, juicy figs, their skin glistening in the dappled sunlight. With nimble fingers, she peeled away the outer leaves, revealing the sweet, succulent flesh within. She carefully chopped them into tiny pieces, placing them in a miniature clay bowl. Next, she turned her attention to the olives, selecting the finest specimens with their deep purple hue. Gently, she pitted and sliced them, arranging them alongside the figs in a mosaic of flavors. To elevate this humble meal, she drizzled a golden stream of local honey, its floral aroma mingling with the fig's natural sweetness. Lastly, she sprinkled in a medley of aromatic herbs, their pungent fragrance adding a layer of complexity to the dish. The result was a miniature feast fit for a forgotten princess, a testament to her resourcefulness and the bounty of the island. Its shores were a tapestry of emerald green, dotted with ancient ruins that whispered tales of bygone eras. Olive groves swayed gently in the breeze, their gnarled branches reaching out as if in welcome. And at the heart of it all stood the majestic castle, its silhouette etched against the fiery hues of the setting sun. What secrets lie hidden within their divine abode? For 9 long months, Amara roamed the sun-drenched halls of the palace, her steps echoing her loneliness. But today was different. Today, hope flickered in her eyes as she prepared to set sail on a quest to mend her shattered family bonds. She donned a simple white linen dress, her only companion, the gentle sea breeze carrying whispers of the ocean's secrets. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the small boat carrying Amara approached the hidden island. Stepping onto the island, Amara felt a sense of tranquility wash over her. But amidst the solitude, nature found a way to thrive. In the royal dining room, she discovered a collection of ancient Greek ingredients, including olives, figs, honey, and aromatic herbs. The room was circular with a stone hearth at its center, remnants of a life once lived here. Later, sitting on the windowsill, she took out a quill pen and a sheet of papyrus, letting the cool breeze ruffle her hair as she wrote. To whom it may concern, she began, her elegant script filling the papyrus. I am Amara, princess of this forgotten realm. With her letter penned, Amara sealed it with a kiss, entrusting her hopes and dreams to the wind that would carry it far and wide. Gods of Olympus, if you are listening, grant me one last chance at happiness. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the island, Amara retreated to her chambers, her heart heavy with the weight of her solitude. In the quiet confines of her chamber, Amara, the forgotten princess, wept. And so the days turned into weeks, the weeks into months. Then one fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, something extraordinary happened. On the horizon, she saw a fleet of ships, their sails billowing in the wind, approaching the island. As the ships drew closer, Amara's breath caught in her throat. They were all here, drawn to the island by the echo of Amara's longing. As the gods approached, their eyes filled with celestial amusement fell upon the solitary princess. Princess Amara, you have touched our hearts with your sorrow and awakened us from our slumber. A wave of relief and gratitude washed over Amara, tears glistening in her eyes. And so, with the gods of Olympus by her side, Princess Amara's tale took a wondrous turn, promising a new beginning filled with magic and celestial grace. The end.
In a forgotten attic, where dust dances in sunbeams, a lonely child discovers an ancient wooden box. Fingers trembling with anticipation, they pry open the lid, revealing a single crayon nestled within. But this is no ordinary crayon, it glows with a faint, magical light, as if whispering secrets of forgotten realms. The child, eyes wide with wonder, grasps the crayon. Its warmth pulses through their small hand, a heartbeat of possibility. Hesitantly, they touch it to the crumbling attic wall. A spark of color blooms, then spreads like wildfire. Suddenly, the dreary attic transforms. Vibrant hues dance across the walls, painting a world beyond imagination. Talking animals spring to life, their fur shimmering with rainbow iridescence. Floating islands drift lazily through cotton candy clouds, while candy trees sprout from the floorboards, their leaves rustling with the promise of sweetness. The child gasps, a sound of pure joy breaking the silence. They twirl, surrounded by their creations, loneliness melting away like winter snow in spring sunshine. With each new stroke of the crayon, more wonders unfold. Starfish constellations twinkle in a sky of swirling galaxies, while gentle giants with kind eyes lumber past, leaving trails of stardust in their wake. But as the child's confidence grows, so does the depth of their creations. They begin to sketch memories: a grandmother's warm smile, a lost pet's wagging tail. Tears mingle with laughter as the drawings come to life, allowing fleeting reunions with those long gone. The music swells, a dreamlike orchestral piece carried on the wings of a children's choir. It ebbs and flows with the child's emotions, sometimes fading to poignant silence, then bursting forth in triumphant crescendos as new magical realms unfold. As night falls outside the attic window, the child's curiosity deepens. Where did this wondrous crayon come from? They close their eyes, willing the crayon to reveal its secrets. In a flash of inspiration, they draw a shimmering doorway on the attic wall. The door creaks open, revealing a hidden world bathed in soft, golden light. An ancient wizard's workshop materializes, filled with bubbling potions and tomes of arcane knowledge. At its center stands a weathered worktable, where countless crayon siblings to the one in the child's hand lie scattered. A ghostly figure appears, the wizard himself, his eyes twinkling with centuries of wisdom. He speaks, his voice a whisper on the wind. I created these crayons long ago, believing that art could reshape the very fabric of our souls. But the world forgot the power of imagination, and my creations were lost. Until now, the child listens, spellbound, as the wizard continues. With a pure heart and boundless creativity, you can bring healing and wonder back into the world. Remember, little one, anything you can draw, you can become. Inspired by the wizard's words, the child returns to their magical attic realm. With renewed purpose, they begin to draw not just fanciful creatures, but scenes of kindness and hope. A group of children sharing a meal with a lonely elder. A polluted river transforming into a crystal clear oasis. Hands of all colors joining together in friendship. As each new drawing springs to life, the child feels a change within themselves. Courage blossoms, where fear once took root. Compassion flows freely, nourishing their spirit like a gentle rain. They realize that the true magic isn't in the crayon itself, but in the power of their own imagination and the purity of their intentions. Days pass in a whirlwind of creation. The attic expands impossibly, becoming a vast canvas filled with interconnected worlds and stories. Flying houses soar past rainbow creatures, while stars hand-drawn in the sky guide travelers on fantastical quests. But the child knows that true magic can't be contained forever. With a bittersweet smile, they make their final drawing, an open window, sunlight streaming through. As the image comes to life, a warm breeze carries the scent of possibility. The child takes a deep breath, clutching the magical crayon close to their heart. They understand now that the most powerful magic lies not in escaping reality, but in transforming it. With a gentle kiss, they place the crayon back in its ancient box, knowing it will find its way to another lonely soul in need of wonder. As they descend the attic stairs, the child's eyes shine with newfound purpose. The world outside may seem ordinary, but they now see the potential for magic in every corner. Armed with creativity and compassion, they step forward, ready to color the world with the vibrant hues of their imagination. The orchestral music swells one final time, the children's choir reaching a triumphant crescendo. Then, slowly, it fades to a single, pure note, a reminder that even in silence, the power of dreams endures. In the attic above, the magical realms shimmer and fade, leaving behind walls covered in beautiful, childlike drawings. But if you look closely, you might catch a glimpse of a rainbow creature winking from behind a cloud, or hear the faint laughter of talking animals carried on the wind. For in a world where anything you can draw, you can become. The line between imagination and reality blurs. And sometimes, in the quietest moments, when your heart is open and your spirit yearns for wonder, you might just find a glowing crayon waiting to show you the magic that lives within us all.
Once upon a time, in a faraway land nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling lake, sat a majestic kingdom straight out of a fairy tale. Its towering castle seemed to touch the clouds, while its manicured gardens were a sight to behold. And within those gardens, near a serene pond, lived a beautiful princess whose grace and kindness knew no bounds. She was known throughout the kingdom for her golden heart and golden hair, which shone like the sun. One day, as she strolled through the royal gardens, she came across a small pond nestled amidst the vibrant flowers and bushes. The pond's surface was as smooth as glass, reflecting the clear blue sky above. But it was what lay beneath the surface that truly captivated her attention. There on a large lily pad sat a frog, but not just any frog. His eyes twinkled with wisdom, and his gaze seemed to hold ancient secrets. As the princess approached, the frog noticed her coming, and with a gentle croak cleared his throat. Hello there, he said politely. Might you please assist me? Startled by the frog's sudden speech, the princess initially jumped back. However, intrigued by the frog's earnest eyes, she couldn't help but ask, "How can I help you?" "Merfrog, you see," the frog began, his voice raspy yet charming, "I am under a terrible curse. Only a kiss from a maiden as pure of heart as you could break it." The princess, moved by the frog's tale, felt a surge of sympathy, yet she couldn't bring herself to kiss a frog, no matter how cursed he might be. "I'm sorry, Merfrog," she said kindly, "but I'm afraid I can't do that." The frog understood her hesitation and didn't press her further. Then he hopped off the lily pad and sat beside her on the stone embankment. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, each lost in their own thoughts. The princess admired the frog's sleek green form and the way he tilted his head inquisitively whenever she paused. She found herself enjoying his company, and before she knew it, she was sharing stories of life in the castle and her dreams for the kingdom. The frog listened attentively, occasionally interjecting with a witty remark or a humorous story of his own. The princess laughed, surprised by how easily she connected with the enigmatic amphibian. she realized that beneath his unusual exterior lay a kind, intelligent creature worthy of her friendship. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the garden, the princess knew it was time to return to the castle. She stood up, a little reluctant to part ways with her new friend. "Thank you for listening to my stories today, Mr. Frog," she said softly. "It's been a pleasure meeting you. Likewise, Princess," the frog replied, his eyes twinkling in the fading light. "You are a true gem, and I hope our paths cross again." With a final wave, the princess turned and walked away, leaving the frog by the pond. As she strolled through the illuminated halls of the castle that evening, the princess couldn't shake the image of the wise, enigmatic frog from her mind. His words echoed in her thoughts, and she found herself smiling at the memory of their shared laughter. A new sense of warmth filled her, a feeling she couldn't quite understand. That night, as the princess lay in her opulent bed, her thoughts drifted back to the frog. She couldn't help but wonder about his life before the curse and the possibility of breaking it. Suddenly, an idea struck her. She would visit the frog again tomorrow and bring him back to the castle to share a meal. The mere thought of seeing him again brought a smile to her face, and she fell asleep dreaming of their next meeting. The following day, the princess made her way back to the royal gardens, a basket laden with fresh berries and a loaf of bread in her arms. She couldn't wait to share the treats with her unusual friend. Upon reaching the pond, she found the frog lounging on his lily pad as if waiting for her. He greeted her with a polite nod and a gentle croak. "Hello again, Princess, Mr. Frog," she replied, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "How would you feel about joining me for a meal in the castle today?" "My treat, of course." The frog's eyes widened in surprise. "In the castle? Are you sure, Princess? I wouldn't want to intrude." "Nonsense," the princess said with a laugh. "Your company is more than welcome. I insist." The frog, touched by her kindness, readily accepted the invitation. And so the princess, with the frog perched comfortably in the basket, made her way back to the castle. As they entered the dining hall, the princess had a table prepared with a generous spread of cheeses, fruits, and freshly baked bread. The frog, seated on a small stool beside her, marveled at the feast laid out before him. "This is all for me?" he asked, his eyes shining with gratitude. "You really shouldn't have, Princess. I insist," she replied with a smile. "And please, call me by my first name. It's Alara." "Alara," he repeated, savoring the sound of her name. "It's a pleasure to know you better, my friend." They spent hours talking, sharing stories and laughter over their meal. The frog discovered a fondness for cheese, and the princess learned of the frog's love for poetry. He recited verses that spoke of bravery, loyalty, and true love, and she found herself captivated by his resonant voice. As the evening drew to a close, the frog, his belly full and his heart content, thanked the princess for the wonderful day. He hopped onto her hand, his cold, smooth skin sending a shiver down her spine. "I must return to my pond now, Alara," he said with a sigh. "But what a day it has been. Thank you for your kindness and for the delicious feast." "The pleasure was all mine, dear friend," Alara replied, her fingers gently stroking his back. "Come again tomorrow. We shall make it a weekly affair." The frog smiled, his eyes twinkling in the candlelight. "I wouldn't miss it for the world, Alara. Until then, farewell." And with that, he leaped from her hand and vanished into the night, leaving Alara with a heart full of warmth and anticipation for their next meeting. Each week that followed, Alara eagerly awaited the arrival of her dear friend. Their bond deepened over their shared meals in the castle, filled with laughter, poetry, and the growing realization that their connection was something truly special. However, as the weeks turned into months, a change began to stir within Alara. Her feelings for the frog went beyond friendship, and she found herself yearning for something more. She couldn't deny her heart's desire to be closer to him, to understand the mystery that lay beneath his enchanting eyes. Yet the thought of kissing a frog still made her uneasy. So she kept her feelings hidden, fearing that they might jeopardize their precious bond. One evening, as they sat together in the dimly lit dining hall, the frog seemed unusually quiet. Alara, noticing his somber mood, reached out to touch his hand. "What troubles you, my friend?" she asked softly. The frog looked up, his eyes filled with a deep sadness. "My curse, Alara," he whispered. "It seems my time is running out. I fear I may not have much longer to stay with you." Alara's heart sank at his words. The thought of losing her dear friend sent a pang of sorrow through her. She wanted to tell him of her undying love, but fear held her back. Instead, she offered words of comfort, hoping to ease his pain. "Don't be sad, dear friend," she said gently. "You have brought so much joy into my life, and for that, I am eternally grateful. No matter what happens, you will always hold a special place in my heart." Her words seemed to comfort him, and he managed a weak smile. "Thank you, Alara," he said. "Your kindness knows no bounds. If only I could be with you without the shadow of this curse hanging over me." As if sensing his unspoken longing, Alara's resolve began to waver. She realized that she couldn't bear the thought of losing her dear friend to his curse. Taking a deep breath, she leaned closer to him, her eyes shining with determination. The frog looked up, his eyes filled with disbelief. "You would do that for me, Alara? I can't begin to express the depth of my love for you." The news of the prince's return and his love for Alara spread like wildfire throughout the kingdom, igniting a celebration that echoed through the ages. The castle courtyard became a sea of dancing figures illuminated by thousands of glowing lanterns. Music filled the air, laughter echoed, and the joy of the occasion knew no bounds. As Alara and the prince danced beneath the starlit sky, she knew that their love story, born from an unlikely friendship, was destined to become a legend.
In a quiet kingdom where clouds forever veiled the night sky, there lived a princess with starlight in her eyes. Her name was Celeste, and she dreamed of twinkling lights beyond the misty veil that no one else could see. There, nestled among whispering roses and luminous fireflies, she began to build her own tiny observatory. With nimble fingers, she crafted a delicate telescope from spun sugar and dark chocolate. Its lens a perfect orb of crystal clear caramel. As she waited, she busied herself with creating more celestial confections. Her delicate hand-shaped mini galaxy macarons. Their shells swirled with cosmic purples and blues, topped with shimmering sugar stars that winked in the candlelight. While others slumbered, Celeste would tiptoe through moonlit corridors, her heart yearning for a glimpse of the celestial wonders she knew must exist. Celeste held her breath, her eye pressed once more to the sugar telescope. It was as if a long-forgotten spell had been broken. All across the land, people stirred in their sleep, their dreams filled with visions of starry skies and infinite possibilities. Suddenly, a gust of wind parted the clouds, and for a fleeting moment, she saw them stars. Children and adults alike delighted in the way the shimmering sugar stars seemed to dance on their tongues, each bite a reminder of the magic that had always existed just beyond their reach. Their aroma wafted through the streets, carrying with it the promise of new beginnings and the courage to dream big. Families gathered around tables, sharing slices of pie and stories of the stars they now saw each night. Soon, observatories, large and small, dotted the landscape, each one a testament to the curiosity and wonder that Celeste had awakened in her people. Countless pinpricks of light, more beautiful than she had ever dreamed. Gardens bloomed with night-blossoming flowers, their petals iridescent in the moonlight. Travelers came from distant lands to witness the magical transformation and to taste the stardust infuse, treats that had become the kingdom's signature. The kingdom never again forgot the power of looking up, of believing in the unseen, and of the magic that can be found in even the smallest acts of creation. The princess who saw the stars had not only changed her own destiny, but had illuminated the path for an entire kingdom to reach for the heavens and make their dreams come true. She established a school of astronomy, where young and old alike could learn about the constellations and the stories written in the sky. Musicians composed melodies that echoed the harmony of the spheres, filling the air with celestial symphonies. Her tiny observatory, once a secret refuge, now became a beacon of inspiration. People from all walks of life gathered in her garden, marveling at her celestial creations and sharing in the joy of rediscovery. Celeste stirred a pot of shimmering star-flecked hot chocolate, the aroma of vanilla and stardust mingling in the air. As darkness fell, people would come together, sipping from cups that glowed like captured moonbeams. The glowing jelly orbs pulsed in time with the newly visible moon, a constant reminder of the cycles of nature and the enduring power of hope. She poured the magical concoction into a set of miniature teacups that seemed to glow with an inner light, their rims dusted with edible glitter that sparkled like distant galaxies. As the stars emerged, so too did the kingdom's long-lost hopes and aspirations. The air thrummed with magic, and whispers of change rippled through the streets. Into each, she placed a star-shaped fruit pie, their crusts golden and flaky, concealing fillings of tart berries and sweet dreams. As they baked, the garden filled with the scent of hope and possibility. One enchanted evening, as silver mist swirled around the castle towers, Celeste slipped into her secret garden. As she worked, soft piano notes drifted on the night breeze, accompanying the gentle clink of her silver spoon against porcelain. With bated breath, Celeste peered through her sugary telescope, searching for a break in the ever-present clouds. Next, she turned her attention to a cluster of tiny clay ovens, no bigger than thimbles. Celeste's final creation was a moonlight tea set, complete with glowing jelly orbs that pulsed softly, mimicking the phases of a moon she had only imagined. Each piece was a work of art, infused with the magic of her unwavering belief in the stars above. As the night deepened, a hush fell over the garden. Tears of joy sparkled in Celeste's eyes as she gazed upon the celestial display. In that instant, something shifted in the kingdom. The clouds began to dissipate, revealing more and more of the night sky. Celeste's heart soared as she watched her beloved kingdom awaken to the wonder above. The princess's mini galaxy macarons became a symbol of the kingdom's transformation. The star-shaped fruit pies, once baked in solitude, now filled the kingdom's bakeries. Celeste's moonlight tea set became the centerpiece of a new nightly ritual. The tiny telescope, once crafted from sugar and chocolate, inspired artisans throughout the kingdom. As the days passed, the kingdom flourished under the starlight. Celeste, no longer alone in her stargazing, found joy in sharing her knowledge and passion with others. The once quiet kingdom became known far and wide as a place of dreams and discovery. Years passed, Celeste's legacy lived on in every twinkling light and every dreamer's heart. And so, in a land where clouds once ruled the night, stars now reign supreme.
In the heart of the cosmos, where stars are born and galaxies dance, there once lived 3 celestial sisters, born from the very essence of the sun. They were gifted with powers beyond mortal comprehension. The eldest, Warmth, could nurture life with her gentle touch. The middle sister, Wisdom, held the knowledge of eons in her radiant eyes. And the youngest, Wrath, possessed the fierce strength to protect all they held dear. For millennia, these sisters brought balance to the world, their light touching every corner of creation. She crosses scorching plains and treacherous canyons, her determination growing with each step. At last, she reaches the foot of a great mountain, its peak hidden among the clouds. Wrath calls, her voice echoing through the chamber. I have come to bring you home. She takes her sister's hand, feeling the familiar warmth of their shared blood. Our light may have dimmed, but it is not extinguished. Together, we can rekindle the flame that once burned so bright. But as the ages passed, a shadow crept into their hearts. Wisdom rises, where clouds form castles and the wind whispers secrets of old. In these ethereal realms, they encounter solar deer. They discover warmth. She sits alone. Never again, they vow in unison. We are here to bring you home, to restore the light that we 3 once shared. The ember in Warmth's hands flares to life, becoming a brilliant flame that spreads to engulf them all. The ruins of the sky citadel tremble, ancient stones rising and reforming as if time itself were reversing, cradling a fading ember in her hands. As her sisters approach, a solar crown materializes, its golden rays stretching across the heavens. Warmth nurtures, wisdom guides, and wrath protects, each sister complementing the others in perfect harmony. Shadows that had grown long and menacing shrink away, revealing the beauty they had once hidden. May we find the warmth to nurture, the wisdom to understand, and the strength to protect that which we hold dear. For in each of us burns a spark of their celestial light, waiting only for the moment when we join hands and hearts to illuminate the world. Where they walk, flowers bloom and rivers flow with renewed vigor. For light and shadow are eternal dance partners, and balance must always be maintained. They vow to remain vigilant, to nurture the flame of hope even in the darkest of times. Creatures great and small emerge from their hiding places, basking in the warmth of this reborn day. The world below, which had fallen into twilight, is bathed in the glow of a new dawn. The sisters rise as one, their forms merging with the light until they are indistinguishable from the celestial radiance that surrounds them. She looks up, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. It speaks of the power of forgiveness, the strength found in unity, and the unbreakable bonds of sisterhood. In times of strife, people look to the sky and remember that even the darkest night is followed by dawn. their antlers glowing with the light of distant suns. "Then let us seek our eldest sister," she declares, "for without warmth our light will never be complete." Revealing galaxies within. "Home," she muses, her voice distant and dreamlike. Wisdom addresses them, their eyes filled with sorrow. "She passed this way long ago," they reply, her light dimmed by grief. Warmth whispers, her voice barely audible, "Have you come to cast me out once more?" She sought solace in the ruins of the sky citadel, where memories of brighter days still linger. "Have you seen our sister? She who brings warmth to all she touches." "We have no home, not anymore. The light has faded, and with it, our purpose." Jealousy whispered in the dark, and betrayal tore their bonds asunder. Here, Wrath walks alone, her fiery spirit dimmed by sorrow. The sun beats down mercilessly, yet she feels only cold within. As she trudges through endless dunes, a glimmer catches her eye, a phoenix born anew from the ashes of despair. It is here that Wisdom has sequestered herself, surrounded by scrolls of cosmic lore and artifacts of bygone ages. The sisters turned away from one another, their light dimming with each passing day. Wrath and Wisdom journey to the very edge of the celestial realm. There, suspended between heaven and earth, they find the crumbling remains of a once great fortress. Its towers, once proud and gleaming, now stand broken and forlorn. Seek your sisters in the lands beyond, where wisdom whispers and warmth embraces. As the world below fell into shadow, hope seemed lost. But destiny had other plans, for the youngest sister knew that only together could they restore what was broken. And so began a journey across mythical lands, a quest to reunite the sisters of the sun and rekindle the light of harmony. Our tale begins in the blazing deserts, where the sands shimmer like molten gold. Young goddess, the creature of light speaks, its voice like crackling flame. Your path lies not in solitude, but in unity. Guided by the phoenix's words, Wrath sets her sights on distant horizons. There, nestled high above the world, lies a starlit temple. Its ancient walls pulse with celestial energy, and constellations dance across its domed ceiling. As Wrath enters the sacred halls, she finds her sister deep in meditation, her form shimmering like starlight. Sister Wisdom's eyes open slowly, but Wrath will not be deterred. Moved by her sister's unwavering faith, the two sisters set forth from the starlit temple, their combined radiance illuminating the path ahead. They traverse forgotten sky kingdoms, noble creatures, the deer bowed their luminous heads. Guided by this knowledge among the fallen pillars and shattered archways, sisters Wrath and Wisdom kneel beside their eldest sister, enveloping her in an embrace that spans eons. As the sisters reunite, their individual lights begin to grow stronger. High above, the sun, source of their power and progenitor of their existence, begins to pulse with renewed vigor. In that moment of perfect unity, a great truth is revealed. Their strength lies not in their individual powers, but in the bonds that connect them. As their light spreads across the cosmos, darkness retreats. The sisters descend from the heavens, their feet touching the earth as gently as sunbeams. Yet even as joy spreads across the land, the sisters know that their work is not done. As the story of the Sisters of the Sun spreads, it becomes a tale of inspiration for all who hear it. And so, as we gaze upon the rising sun, let us remember the lesson of the three sisters.